Hello, it is Lord Haywire. I'm streaming some 2D4X today, which I do on most weekends. I'd say 95% of weekends. Sometimes very rarely I go someplace. We're working on 2D4. Well, 2D4X is a 2D4X strategy game I'm making. We're working on like setting up a start menu, very primitive start menu to prepare for saving, and we need a start menu to test loading. So we hit start right now, and then it goes to this blank thing, which runs a bunch of stuff. But it's still also, I sound very loud today. I don't know what's going on. Oh, now my shit's broken. Let me click this button over here. What was I saying? Something about something. Oh, it's still going. So basically what we did is we set up this auto load to load all of these, like all of the datas. This one should have. See, I didn't follow my own. I like calling them datas, but then this thing doesn't like it. Anyways, all of the different things from disk. What's up with you? And then it generates. Since it has all of these, it can generate things, which is basically where we are at now. I did not explain that well at all. All right. So basically how it works is for the game to run, we need to have these lists of different things: interests, skills, research, goods. They're all Godot resources, and we need them all to load from disks so they can be usable throughout the game. And so what we do is when you start the game, when you click this start button here, actually that's not true. Zim, how's it going? It's not when you hit the start button, it's when the game runs, it actually loads these all in. So regardless of where you run it from, it's loading all of these lists in. And so all of these lists are loaded in right when you run the game. So when you run the game on this one, so this will be the menu eventually. This will be like, when you start the game, this will be the start menu. It will obviously, hopefully look better. So all of the lists have been loaded in the background, which probably we don't need it to do it right here. Depends how long that's going to take. Right now, it takes no time at all because the lists are short. So we're not going to worry about it right now. I made some notes for this stream, which I don't think I've ever done before. Like put notes in ahead of time that aren't programming related. So you guys have probably heard that there's like that pirate software guy. He's a streamer. He's a controversial guy. He's kind of a dickhead. Anyways, like every time I go to anything, YouTube, I was going to say Instagram, but I don't have an Instagram. Anything, Reddit, there we go. YouTube or Reddit. It's always like fucking new controversy with pirate software. Stick away says a gun. And I just like, oh my God, I don't care. Why are these always being recommended to me? And then I watch them, and then it makes it worse. So then I get even more. But anyways, so they were going over his code, and there's 10,000 videos about that. So if you're curious, you can look at the 10,000 videos. But while I was watching them go over their code, so these are like experts in coding were going over the code that pirate software had shown on screen, and saying that he was a shitty programmer. That's I'm paraphrasing. I'm cutting you can watch all those videos, and that's what they all say. So, which who cares? I mean, I guess the reason people care is because he says he's an expert. But whatever. But while I was watching the videos, because I watched 2 of them, I think, I was like, I learned some stuff about programming. Yeah, exactly. People love to hate that guy, and I kind of understand it. I also feel kind of sorry for him. I watched like him stream more recently because I watched him a long time ago, and then I watched him stream more recently, and chat was kind of making small, because he's quick to ban people for good reason. Like I I would ban people if they were harassing. I ban people. I've told this story. Somebody lulled me once in chat, and I just fucking banned him. So it's like, don't lull. No. So like I totally understand just ban the people. But anyways, chat was kind of like making these like slight side comments like every third. He's got like 4,000 people watching, so there's a chat just flying by, and it's like every third thing. And I kind of felt sorry for him because he's digging his hole, and he can't stop doing it. Yeah, and I totally agree. Saying was like people are deranged over it, and it just. But yeah, he can't stop digging the hole, and he can't. He's less sympathetic, and he doesn't understand that he's looking less sympathetic. Like at the beginning of all of this, he kind of seemed somewhat, this is all over like some wow thing. Anyways, I think he should take a break and let it all blow over from streaming instead of like having the arrogant attitude that he has, because it's just, and it's because, and people are deranged and they just love like making videos about this guy. Anyways, because he's also easy prey because he is so arrogant. So yeah, exactly. Just take like, this is unrelated to people attacking someone, but that Jenny Nicholson lady, that I love her videos because they're really long and they're always about shit I don't care about, but I end up watching all of her videos. But you know how she does it is, and so I'm always like, whenever I see that there's a new video that she does, I'm like, holy shit, a new video by her. She actually you have to like pay to watch her videos through Patreon. Like I don't pay, so she releases them every once in a blue moon on YouTube, but the rest of the time you like go on her Patreon. He should do like something similar, like just chill out for a while, let it go, let it just slide. But I think that's his main form of income. But you're right. So that's the thing, is that he wants to fight, and it doesn't make him look good. Yeah, I feel sorry for him because he could get out of it if he was a little bit more humble. If he could just chill the fuck out. But he doesn't want to do it. Anyways, the reason I was bringing him up is I was watching some code review of his. Somebody was code reviewing. I don't know what the person's name was, but the guy sounded like he knew what he was talking about. And I took some notes because I didn't know. I learned stuff watching the code review, and so like I was just sitting there like, I don't even know why I'm watching this. And then I was like, wait, is that real? Is that what you're supposed to be doing? So the two things that I learned from watching the code review was, one thing was magic numbers. Someone in chat once mentioned magic numbers, and I assumed because they were called magic numbers that magic numbers were a good thing. They're not a good thing. They're a bad thing. I'm gonna update the README while I yammer here, because I updated in Godot one step. So I thought, just because of the name, and because there's also so I thought, in IT there's something called the magic packet, which is like a magic packet, man. Allows you to wake up a computer that's asleep remotely. And so I just assumed it was some sort of good magic thing, but no, it's a bad thing. And so I actually have an example in my code somewhere of a magic number. Right? See, that's why I thought it was a good thing. Yeah, no, I'm trying to think where I was using this. And every time I use it, I'm like, I fucking hate this. This sucks. And it's so basically where I'm using like a ton of enums to avoid magic numbers, because and this is what I always say, humans don't really understand what numbers mean, like as in what they are in regards to. So the thing I learned was, I'm trying to find one. I'm trying to think where it was. But basically, I remember it was... I had an array of something. Well, I probably won't remember, but if we want to get in this array, if we wanted to get the second thing in the array, we'd put a 1 in there. But if you put a 1 in there, you don't know what the fuck that is because it's a 1. And that's why it's called a magic number, is because it's just, who knows what the fuck it is. It's magic. It's just magically doing something. And I do it occasionally, but I fucking hate it because I don't know what that is. And then it's just bad programming. And the thing is that's weird about that is that I figured that out on my own. Because I was like, maybe chat helped me. And just using them sucks, because then you're like, what does this mean later when you're looking at the code, and then you have to go figure out what that shit is. So I didn't know that term, when the person mentioned it in chat, I put it on my list to look up what it was, and then I never did it. So yes, I learned something from that. Then the second thing I learned from watching the code review is that comments are bad. I thought comments were good. And so then I watched another code review of his same code, and the person, so it was 2 different experts said that comments are bad. And I totally was under the impression that comments were good. What is this little thing? Comments are good, but not obvious comments. Was it Slop News Network? It might have been. That actually sounds like it could have been. Yeah, I don't know how I don't know why YouTube is so restrictive. The minute you watch one video, you suddenly get 10,000 of that same video. Like when people talk about echo chambers, it's like hard to fight. You have to fight your way out of the echo chamber because of just how fucking YouTube suggests stuff. Yeah, so that's the thing, is I have some pretty obvious comments. So I basically what I learned from that was that your code should be good enough, should be readable enough that you don't need a comment. And so I'm trying to find, because I put comments all over everything. We'll run into one and I'll point it out. But complexity dictates comments. So that was one guy was saying, like, if your code is really complex, you should put comments in. But if it's something that's obvious, you shouldn't put comments in because it's repetitive. And that kind of makes sense to me, but there was some stuff, they pointed out some stuff in his code, in Pirate Software's code, that I've done. Like it was identical. And I was like, oh, that's bad. And, the other thing that they brought up a lot, which I thought was kind of interesting, is that, he's doing the code on it. It's for himself. Comments should be temp and taken out and compiled. Oh, really? Like, I don't know if Godot does that I don't think it does when you export it. But I'm just looking at the settings. I don't think it knows. I bet you might be able to do it with Writer, like remove the comments. But a lot of people said, we're talking about, like, because he's a solo dev, and it doesn't really matter that much because he's just for himself, and then they were arguing that that's bad anyways. But the thing that I keep running into with my code in particular is I forget what it does. So I try to make it as consistent throughout so I can remember how it, so it's easier for me to figure out what it does later when I come back to it. And I think that's part of it. Maybe it's because I have such a terrible memory that it's better for me to make certain things. They also had like this way to do a case, like a whatever, it doesn't matter. Creating design systems for progress in your application, always yeah. So that's another thing that one guy mentioned that I've actually mentioned a bunch in my streams, where a lot of times especially early on, I would just make it work with that particular thing. So I would be like, let's add in a save system. We're going to make it save just this one thing, and fuck it. It's going to ruin everything later. And now, as I get better at programming, I feel like I'm preparing more for the future. It's not 100% at all. It's probably like 25% preparing for the future, but it does make it so that the code feels a little bit more robust. Anyways, so that was the magic number thing really blew my mind though, because I assumed it was a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. And when we run into it, because I know it's this one thing that I hate. But a lot of times they were saying there was another option besides using enums, and I they just mentioned it in passing, and I was like, what is this other option besides enums? Because I have so many enums. Oh, it was it was a struct. They said use a struct instead, so maybe I need to read up about structs. So that was what I took away from the watching those videos, was like, oh, I need to learn more stuff. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, like you're saying, there is a little bit of definite insanity of it's because I think he's so easy, and he doesn't understand that he's an easy target. Okay, so we have all of our lists loading. That actually went really easily last time in our auto load, and I think it's fine. So here's an example of not preparing for the future. I think it's fine if we load all the lists when the game starts, as long as it doesn't take that long. Right now it does not take long at all, so I think that should be fine. So I think that was also another thing they kept mentioning, and I was thinking, imagining in my head, like, man, if these guys did a code review of me, they would tear me apart. But the difference is that I'm not saying that I know everything. Not at all. I'm saying I know nothing. And that they would probably, yeah, it's the arrogance that makes them so easy to pick on. So let's see here. We got all the lists. Now we're gonna tear some stuff out. This blank thing is what we were working on before, and I think we had so we have this status label, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna move over from the main game. We're going to start moving over these like generation things, which is going to implode the main game. And so currently the default, when we hit play on this thing, it runs the main game, and we're going to leave it that way. And what we'll do is once like we'll start with faction generation, I guess. Yeah, we'll start with faction maybe. It depends. We might have to do this county. Oh, wait, all token. Oh, no, that was on purpose. We're leaving that there. I don't know what this thing does. I don't know what this is. See, this is why I gotta. Yeah, you gotta. It's the pretending. What's the imposter syndrome? Yeah, I went to a work party yesterday. It was kind of interesting because people were excited to meet me because I work from home mostly, and I was surprised by that. A lot of people were. So faction generation, I think we'll do this one first. We're gonna move this to game generation. Well, then we're gonna have game generation, save this to disk, and then when you run main, it's going to load it from the save game. And then what we'll do, so that way, every time we run the game, we can still run main from our save file, and we'll just get the same variables every time, unless we do a new game generation. And that will be and that will let us know what we need exactly to be saved by always loading from disk. And so even when we really are making the game, or starting the game and going through game generation and then going to main, it will always load between these two things. It will always load from disk. So it's never like passing these variables between game generation to main. It's always going to save game generation when you go this to disk, and then it's going to load it. And right now we're just using one save file, but later we'll add in like where you get to pick and name your save files. But that's down the road. But I have it on my list. I do have it on the list here of things to do. Okay, so now that I rambled on forever. Yeah, I used to watch a lot more videos of this, of people kind of tearing apart games, like scammy games. It was kind of fun to watch this, but I kind of lost interest in it because they're kind of all the same. It's pretty obvious when there's some new scam game out. What's going on with this thing? I guess we're about to find out because we need to look at this. So what does this thing do? So this is going to load. It looks like this is a path to the faction resources. We create factions from the disk. How is this going to work when you pick your faction? See here, am I about to set myself up for failure here? What are we loading this into? What are we doing? How does this thing work? What is these factions? So we have this thing. Where is it? Create factions from disk. It's not really creating them though. Oh, Sophia, man. It's oh my God. Sorry, I'm laughing because that's a ridiculous thing here. Possible ban evader. Oh, can you guys even see that? Report them. They're a bot. That's a new one. I like that though. That there's a they're selling something. That they said that they couldn't hear me. How would that even work? Is that a thing that people do? Is they watch streams without the sound? There we go. We've taken care of them. I mean, that was obviously a bot, but is that a thing? Okay. I wonder if that was that one person who, so one day I got 3 bots in a row and I banned them all and whatever. And then later I got a notification that they had banned them from Twitch, 2 of the 3. And I wonder if this was maybe the one who made it through, even though like it was obvious the other person wasn't. So what the fuck are we doing here? We're reading all of these things from file. Okay, so we're loading this into globals, all faction data. Okay, so and it looks like we have a note in here. Here's a comment that's probably good, right? This is a comment that's probably good. So I think one of the reasons, though, let's run this here, our main thing. So there's been some issues throughout this of seeing what I want to see in the remote here, because you should be able to, anything with an export on it that like shows up in the inspector, you should be able to see in here. And some things you can, some things you can't. And so I think, okay, so this does work. All right, I guess we're going to have to do something dramatic here. So this faction, how is this created? Because I don't remember. So this is a list of all the factions that are nodes. And I don't remember why we did this. These are loaded in, it looks like these are scenes. And they have a faction data, so we can see all of the information that we need is right here in the inspector. And then we also can go to here and see the counties that they own. Why did I do it this way? I think it was easier to do it this way instead of, let's go to globals and look. Where's my globals? let's see, all faction data. Yeah, it is easier for the developer, me, to see if you can read it easier over as these nodes. But would the better option, we could also use like a dictionary. What is this thing saving as? What is this thing? It's just a list or something. It's a Godot array so that we can look at it. So I guess we could make it a dictionary. The problem with a dictionary, well, there isn't much problem, but we can't see it in the inspector. We can get rid of this because we do have this. So when we have like 300 of these, I wonder if that's going to be an easier. So we're naming these nodes the name of the faction, so it's easier to find them. So if you need to like debug or whatever, I guess it's all for debugging. That's why these are here. I was just thinking it might be better to have this county names. Crystal, how's it going? Long time no talk. I dropped into your stream yesterday. It was the day I was working. It was a Thursday or Friday or something. And like always, the minute I load up Twitch, I get a phone call from work. And so it was like 30 seconds, like every single time. I don't even know what the fuck, man. It just that every single time. Start Twitch, get a phone call. In fact, if I was bored at work, I should probably start Twitch just so I can get a phone call. So I think I was just saying, maybe we should have it like the name and then the faction here, so it'd be easier to even track this shit down. But let's not worry about that right now. I guess what we should do is just really break some stuff here. You and Joker are plotting, huh? What are you plotting about? So we can get rid of this and let's see what happens. We'll have to. What are we doing here? So we're loading from disk. Why did I do it this way? Why wouldn't I just go faction data here? Because I have the faction data right there. Now let's see what happens here. I have a feeling we're going to have some major breakage here, but I think we should, we don't want, what do they call them, parallel lists? We don't want any parallel lists, and that's what that is. That's what that node is. This is some ancient shit that we're back to. Oh yeah, that's bad. We didn't even get our colors and stuff, but we knew this was gonna happen. Let's copy this error. Where are you at? All right, county generation. It uses, why would I do that? Why would I do that? So this is using, huh? Yeah, I was just talking about that. I was basically, long story because I yammered on for a very long time. I was saying that watching the code reviews of his code helped me learn about coding a little bit, just a little bit, because supposedly these guys are experts that were doing the code review. So this is like a manual thing. Oh, here's a magic number. We were just, so this is the thing. They were saying don't use magic numbers, and here's a magic number right here. So don't look at this. This is bad. Yeah. So the reason why this is bad is because we don't know what this means. What this goes to. But this is like a temporary thing. So That's my excuse. um, what is your take on the pirate drama, man? Well, I was just saying, like, every video that's suggested to me is about that, and now I'm making my own. Not really, but you know what I mean. Okay, so I think what we got to do, because so there's gonna be a lot of this today and tomorrow probably, where when we move over something, we're not even too. Oh, let me think about this. You have much to say? If we start here, you're trying to get Joker to do a bit about it? Oh, is it a code review? So if we start here and we say start, then we go to remote. Okay, so how are we going to do this? So here's the problem that we're up against. We don't have any of the counties yet at this point. We can do the faction part, but the faction part is we need the counties in here. I don't want. Yeah, that's gonna get complicated, but I think we got to do this. We're gonna have to do this major rewrite to get the saving to work, but that's all, this is all required. Like, we can't get around this. I would like to, and I should have done this way earlier so we didn't have so much. So this is back to the code review thing I was talking about. We're not planning ahead. So basically, the one of the guys was saying, if you don't plan ahead, it's not the end of the world, but it just makes your code and your tech debt so much that it's so hard to move forward on your game, because you're always going back to fix stuff, and so that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. Is that I write some code and then I go back a year later and I rewrite it. The thing both of them kept saying was like, this code looks like it was written by a junior dev or even an intern. And they kept saying, like, even an intern. And I was like, man, it looks like my code. I'm an intern. I'm at intern level. I don't know what an intern it means in programming, though. Are you unpaid, or do you get paid as an intern? Because no one should work for free. So what are we going to do here? How are we going to fix this? So this is going to be much more complicated. No, it's as equally complicated as I thought. So we get the factions generated on generate game. Then we need to also assign these things, which at some point are going to be random. So we are going to need to load the counties first. So then what happens? So then if we have to load the counties, do we need an actual map, though? I don't think we need a map. How are we going to do where you pick where you start? That's going to be... I mean, we got to pick it from a map, though, right? So that's even worse. That means we got to make a map here. I don't want a map here, because that's a lot of work. So on this big blank screen, there's a label in here, but it doesn't have anything attached to it yet. So when you generate, how's this going to work? So we generate the game. You hit start a new game. We're going to generate the game. It's going to have all the data generated, and then it goes to a map. And you pick where you want to start. Or we can have a list. Lists are lame, though, because then you need to know where Massachusetts is and shit. And know where Louisiana is. Florida. So I guess we have to have a map. Let's generate all the data first. Let's break it into little pieces. That's what we're going to do. We'll break it into little pieces. We'll generate all the data first, and then we'll go from there. So we gotta do this. This is going to suck. Yeah, no, right? Everyone knows where Florida is. It's like Florida is so obvious. Texas is obvious. All right, I'm ready for some epicness. Okay, so let's do this. Let's really break this down into tiny parts, and I think this is what we're gonna, yeah. And then this is what we're gonna have to do. So on the game generation, we have to do this faction thing. We're gonna leave off this. Well, we got to fix this then. So county generation is going to pull from these maps, or from the map. So if we go back to here, if we go back to here and go to local, it's going to pull from this faction thing. Oh, it's dead. What? What's going on here? Are we still in a remote? No. What happened to my faction stuff? What's going on here? Both my factions and counties are missing. What's going on there? Oh yeah, it's the new Godot. We might have to do map generation. Let's pin you. You guys gonna both get in the video? I haven't seen anybody do any like a bunch of text messages. Anybody do any like what do they call it? Oh, what happened to my factions in my counties? Oh, are those only generated when I play it? Is that the only devs? Is that how that always works and I just forgot? Okay, they're only generated. Okay, so they're only generated when it runs. These are just there for, all right, this is going to be a pain in my ass. All right, so let's use some magic numbers here to fix this. So I think I actually have a thing. It's like get county data from, no, we need faction. Get county data from, no. Maybe it's in faction data, which would be probably where it's supposed to go. Oh, more Automon? Oh, yeah. A sex-based term. Man, the innuendos in this that normally that happen in this chat. I mean, that should be pretty common. The sex-based terms. Is it pain in your ass? Isn't really a sex-based term though. I mean, it is, but it's not really. Is it ass? All right, so how the fuck are we going to do this? I don't want to have to show this on the screen yet. So I guess we could generate these. No, because they're not going to exist. Those, we'll load them from disk. So we'll have to do another, and it's kind of a duplicate work, but okay. So, only lambs? What was the thing I was thinking about? AI, it was AI related this week, and I can't remember. The reason I was bringing it up was because only lambdas. Fucking lambdas. The reason I was saying it was Crystal Master, just in case you guys don't know, he's an AI master of AI. I think I'm just procrastinating at this point. Okay, so we need to either, we're going to look in faction data is what we're going to do. Faction data here. Do we have get faction data from ID? It gets the child. Okay, so this is what we need. I put this one in faction data, and then I put this other one in globals. Why the fuck would I do that? It should be in county data, or yeah, county data. All right, so what we got to do is get, this is from faction data, get faction data from ID. So this is the stupid magic numbers that we're using right now. We just need to put a 0 in here. And so what we're doing is we're loading, this is going to be pulled from, well, let's double check. Let's make sure that I'm not using that list. No, so we're getting the child from this thing, wherever it is, when they're already on here. So why do I want them on there? I don't know what my original, I think it was just so you could find them easier for when you're doing bug hunting. I kind of don't want them there anymore, but we'll do it the old way anyways. So anyways, this is gonna get this from there. We're gonna have to move those things around. So let's copy this thing though. I guess we'll just copy this whole thing. See, there's also this weird, I guess that works. Oh, there was another thing that I saw. So, oh man, I'll never be able to find it. I think it's an attribute data. It's when I do it's okay. Where is it? Because I was so surprised that this was a good thing. Was it, it's when you do a skill data. It's not here. When you check, it's under skill. What is this called? It's this thing. Learning check. No, it is. Check with bonuses. Is this the one that has a bunch of things? Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I was very shocked. I gotta find where I'm doing this. I think this one will work. Okay, so I was very shocked. So the guy was going through his code and he was like, the better way to do it would be to put all of these things above and go equals this or whatever. And so basically it was this, and they were like, this is the good way to do it. And I've always said I hated this, and I think it looks like shit. Oh no, I got magic numbers, and what are these zeros? Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. But I was quite surprised that you are supposed to put just what this is right above it, right? The magic number thing blew my mind. That was a bad thing. I mean, obviously those things are bad, but the name of it was the thing that threw me off. Yeah, so this should actually be up here, and because then you can know what this is. Huh. But anyway, yeah, I was surprised that was that's the way you're supposed to do it. I was doing it because I was having a hard time reading and figure I could, because I don't know how to read. Anyways, back to this. I'm like I said, I'm procrastinating here because this is gonna not work the way I want it. It looks like we were putting this one as one as well. So basically what we're doing in this is we're manually assigning each county to each faction in this just for testing. We're going to do it kind of randomly generated factions, but currently all of our factions are just manually, I typed in their information. This is 3. What? Cowlitz. So I wonder if this would be better with the struct thing. Man, I have so much to learn. It's kind of intimidating, honestly, that there's so much to learn. I have a feeling I'm making a major mistake here. Why are you 1? See, that's the problem with these fucking numbers. Yeah, I think that's what takeaway we've come up with, me and Chad, is that the thing is the big issue with Pirate is his arrogance, and that's why everyone loves to make all these videos about him and stuff. Is that it's so easy to go after him because he's so arrogant. Yeah, no, this is confusing me right now. I could put an enum in here. I could have an enum with a list of every single county name in there. Right now, it doesn't matter. We could also do it. No, doesn't matter. Because this is, like I said, this is a temporary thing. I think this should still break, but let's see what happens. So the one guy showed like this struct thing that I was like, what is that? That looks cool. And I didn't quite understand it. He wasn't teaching the programming. He was just like going over. He wasn't teaching the programming. What are we doing here? We're assigning personality player. Oh, this must not have worked earlier then. What is this error? Is it that doesn't exist? Yeah. So this should have been set in faction generation right here. And we're going to move this faction generation in a second. So this is loaded up. We're going a for loop. Structure, dictionary, map. Is that what they are? He like showed an example of how it should work, but I don't, the guy was going fast, obviously. Let's look at what this thing said down here. Did we get this? We got a lot of shit that happened. What does this thing say? Has been loaded. Okay, so we got all this stuff loaded from disk, but this doesn't seem to have worked, because if it did work, this error wouldn't have happened. What order is this error in? Population generation. No, this happens after. Assign player specific things. Player faction data, faction leader. You know what we could do? Just put a breakpoint right here. That's what we could do. And not that button. And let's stop this. When I was watching Critter the other day, it was interesting seeing him debug 3 different panels. In my multiplayer game, I do it a different way. And it was, he uses Studio Code, I think. And he was, he could pull down and like pick the different things and where. So faction leader is null at this point. I run one in Godot and one in Rider. So I wonder why faction leader is null at this point. We are in population generation. So this is on ready. We create population. I bet you there's like the better way to do this thing is to delete this list or whatever it is. Just comment it out. This one right here. We're not using that anymore. That's the problem. It's probably wants that thing. And then we'll build it. See, this is the parallel list bullshit. Like, why did I do that to myself? I even put a note in and it said, like, this is dumb. I mean, it didn't say this is dumb, but that's what it should have said. You know what we could do? So what I'm doing here is in that list, I'm removing. So if a faction gets destroyed. So the dictionary might be like enemies, bandit leader. And with a struck, for example, we could have enemies, bandit leader. No, so that's what the guy was doing. And I guess I don't. And then he would have like a third thing, it'd be enemies.banditleader.sword. And that's where you got the sword information from that. So it wasn't a dictionary. and that makes like that getting that, I don't know, like creating it, the whole thing like starts getting complicated in my head, and I just haven't used them, so I need to figure out like I have. So like a Godot resource is kind of like a struct, right? Except it's only one level deep, but you could go 2 levels deep. You could go 5 levels. You could get a million levels deep. Um, so I think what we need to do here is we need to have a new one of these. We're going to duplicate this. Does it? Over here? This thing? All right, man. Maybe I'll drop it. Maybe I'll raid you. I don't know. Maybe yeah. Let's put dead factions here, because what we're doing is we're getting all the factions from the children of this thing, and what if we just move when a faction croaks, we just move them into this dead factions thing. In fact, we'll put the dead factions here, and then we'll put in globals. If we're gonna go with this, everyone's a node, then. Another auto mod thing. It's so crazy to me that he doesn't take a break from streaming, or that we were saying there's two. Oh, it's because you use the word viewers. You can't use viewers. It's crazy to me, or like if he doesn't just stream like not to the public for a while, just let shit blow over, and he doesn't, But that's why I was wondering if it's his only way of getting income, so he can't let it blow over. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to move. We'll rechild this, and then it will be out of the list. Maybe we should make some sort of method that child things that reparents things. Public static reparent faction node, and then we'll pass in like a what is this thing, an int faction ID with a little d. What is your problem? Why are you mad? This is a constructor. Public static void. I just forgot a word, all right? All right, then we need this thing. Yeah, we can put in the faction ID, which will be, no, we needed this to be reparent faction node to dead faction. And then we'll go, I think it's just reparent. What is it? Parent something. There's a way to reparent. There's a way to move it. Reparent node. Reparent node. Is it is it reparent? It wasn't appearing when I was typing it in. Reparent. Parent. I need to have it attached to a node. So we will faction. Can I do this? Get faction node from faction ID dot reparent. No. We're gonna need this. This is a node faction node equals. Stop with the fingers. Oh, because this is a resource. This is getting a faction data. So we need to do this a different way. We need to go get We need to go globals.instance.factions parent.getChild faction ID will equal this node. We don't need to cast this shit. It doesn't care. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. The don't use drug things was everywhere, and then it was a strange, and it obviously didn't work because otherwise there would be no drug use. Then we're gonna go reparents. There we go. There we go. And then we're gonna need a new um, thing here. Factions. There it is. Then we're gonna do export public node dead factions parents. Why'd you put a line there? Then we're gonna go back to this thing. Nope. We're gonna go back to this thing. And then we're gonna go dead. We're gonna go globals. I might be setting myself up for failure here. And then, do we need to return anything? No. Shin, how's it going? No, wait. They didn't have that in Canada? I'm shocked. So my parents were very against smoking, which I kind of understand. My parents were like, if you want to smoke some pot. They're old hippies, you know. Shit, I'm doing good. And did I already ask how you're doing? The FBI, was it an FBI warning or was it just a public service? I thought it was a public service thing. What do we got going on here? Show me my problems. Where are my problems? You can go. You're no longer a problem. We might have to put that back, but I'm hoping that I can not put that back. So then what we're going to do here is, this is going to be kind of a pain to test because we have to defeat a faction. Then we're going to go, what? We're going to go perfect. So that will go in there. Wherever you're at, are there arcades like for adults? There's in Portland. There used to be a bunch of them. No, I don't know about a bunch, but a couple of them. I don't know if they still exist. We're gonna get rid of this. This can go, and then this can go too because we're repairing the thing. We just need that one line. I'm gonna put a note in here for later since we got rid of the all faction data list. We are now just reparenting the dead faction to the dead faction node. You can probably delete this comment soon. Yeah, like they have like, they have like booze, you can buy beer and stuff, and there's better music, I would say, playing. I worked in an arcade. It was actually a pretty awesome job. Okay, where the fuck is this? Oh. Yeah, so because this is back when they use tokens, like things in video games are a quarter. Remove county from the counties. And so I just sat in like a little booth and they gave you, and like gave out swapped quarters for tokens, and they gave you like whatever, $10 of tokens a month for free. And so if you were bored, you could go the winners. No. You can go play video games. Yeah, the whole thing. At the laundromat. Yeah, it was. So I read a book most of the time. I remember one day that this. I was sitting. It was like a booth that was locked, you know, just so you couldn't get robbed, with like a glass case or whatever. And one day I was sitting there, and this old lady came up, and she's like, "I need to use the phone. Let me in." And I was like, "No, I'm not allowed to." And she just started like demanding, "Let me in, let me in." And I was like, "Lady, I'm not allowed to let you in here. You know, I don't care who you are. Like, you know, you're some old lady." I didn't say that you were old, but yeah, I was like, I don't care. You know that you're not a kid. I'm not allowed to let you in. And then after she demanded for 5 minutes, like this other dude walked in, and it was the owner, and it had all been a test all along. it, was, it was like the owner's mom or something. You know. Um, Remove all these faction heroes from the game. I'm just going to fix these while we're here. See, this is why you don't want comments in your game. And you don't have to worry about the punctuation. Yeah, it was funny because she looked like a nice old lady until she started demanding to come in. It was it was just see if I was going to fall for the thing. Cannot resolve all faction data. Okay, so what is this? Add factions to diplomacy war. So what we got to do is, this is the same thing for each. See, I really fucked myself with having these dual lists. Get children. But there's no, and then we'll go for each. I don't think you can just, no. This, I think, is a that. This is a that, and then we'll cut this. We're going to need this down here. Cut this. I wrote this a very long time ago, but this is a node. And then equals, no, node.faction. Oh, we got to tell it what it is. Is that thing a node? That's it. That is what it was. I don't. This is just a node. How are we? No, it has to have something attached to it. Did we call it like a faction node? This code is so old, dude. What did I call this shit? I can't run it. Look at it. So it's not here because it's not generated yet. It's a resource. This is a resource, but it's assigned to that thing. It's assigned to the node. It's not a UI thing. Did I just call it faction? Are you fucking kidding me? Right? Just imagine if you just named all your code, all of your script just by a number. That'd make life easier, right? Yeah, I did. I called it faction. What a fucking asshole. Yeah, exactly. 20. Yeah, it's under 25.cs. If you wanted to punish, like if you were working with someone, you could do that. Wow, I called it faction, huh? For each faction, what is the thing I do here? I want it to cast, and I can't remember. Yes, that's what what? No! Fuck you. I want the other one. No. Wait, that's the one I did. Why are you varring me up here? Cast as a faction. Yeah. No, not as a faction data. There we go. So are you right? Are you doing a thing? Are you making a video? It's Crystal was saying that you were we don't need to cast this. We're going to go faction. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. We're passing in a faction data. Dude, I'm setting myself up for failure here. So this is a faction data that we're passing in. We're going through each one and we're assigning them to war faction data. Then we take this. Is this a dictionary? Yeah, this is our matrix. So I wonder if that we can use like a struct for the matrix of the deploy. I gotta do a tutorial on that. I gotta watch a tutorial on that. I'm just gonna delete this. It doesn't like this stuff, so I'll just delete it. Oh shit, an hour's already passed. As soon as people get home, I can close doors. It's nice living alone. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break though, and I will be back in less than 5 minutes. Let me throw up my break timer. Let me pause my music that you guys can't hear, and I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Man, yeah, these changes are gonna be a motherfucker to test. Let me turn on my break timer. Morton, how's it going? I am working on a 2D Forex game, so like a strategy game. Oh, I can't run. I was gonna run it and show you, but it's busted right now. I'm doing some major changes. Basically, it's inspired by like Dominions and hey, what's going on with my break timer? There we go. Um, I would show you, but we got bugs because we're moving. So basically, the problem is that I didn't plan ahead for saving the game, and so now I need to go back and fix a bunch of stuff. It's not fix. It's recreate, refactor a bunch of shit, and that is not the best, honestly. So we're just gonna do the same thing. But yeah, it's inspired by like Dominions, Paradox games like CK3, Victoria, Get Children. You know, I should just write a method. Nah, fuck it. Who cares? And we're gonna cast this faction. Yeah, I did not plan ahead at all for this part, and I was putting it off, and whoops. And now I'm here, and I need to get the save game basically working so that then I can start working on multiplayer. I don't really know how to do multiplayer. I have another game that I work on offline that is multiplayer for that reason, to like kind of learn. What are we doing here? We can just get faction parents count. Children. Yep. And then what do you want right here? Gonna have these parallel lists, which is bad. And this is not part of the move, but since I'm doing this major change, it's like, you know what? We need to get rid of this parallel list. And I'm hoping it's not a mistake, because it could be a mistake where we have to like put this all back. But I think it will be easier for debugging in the future if I have the viewable. Basically, it creates little nodes in here so you can see the different factions that exist. Whoops. Come on, fingers. All right. Cast. Well, that's where I needed the other. You're working on getting your multiplayer. How are you using Godot? Are you using the built-in stuff too? Get children. County's parent is a different one, but this just happens to look. It still says select county from the good old days. Are you using the built-in stuff? How's it going? Because, man, I use I use ChatGPT to help me with my multiplayer game, and it led me down a path of insanity. It was lying to me, but it did help me learn how to use some of this stuff. I learned more about RPC, you know, because it was these should now be all fixed because it was lying to me. It was, you know, I saved some information to a file, and instead of it getting it from the server, the client was getting it, and it was telling me that it's it's getting it from the server, and I was like, no, it's not. Let's clear this thing. Let's see if we can get this to play. I think it's going to be busted though still because it doesn't have the faction stuff we need, but let's see what we really need to test that war thing, because it's going to be a problem long term. Oh, we still have this issue. Let's put this back. Whoops. This breakpoint back. breakpoint back. And let's do this. I think these aren't created yet is the problem. I think that's the issue. Oh shit, we have 2 of these running. Yeah, that's so it's hit or miss. If it's basic shit for me, at least I've if it's basic stuff, ChatGPT is great. And it will explain it to me. But if it gets slightly complicated, like multiplayer, all I was trying to do was a fucking login thing, you know? just look for the user and a word for their password. And that was too much for it. And it would argue with me, and it was telling me it was doing it right. And I was just like, no, there's something obviously wrong here. And then I had to put in all these checks to make sure that it wasn't the client that was looking. And I even used the Claude for a little bit of it to see if Claude would help me out. And it also had a similar issue. But yeah, like, and this is the same exact experience I had with pathfinding. I had it help me with pathfinding, and the minute you get slightly complicated with the pathfinding, it forgets, it gets stupid. Okay, so we got to figure out why this isn't getting assigned over here. So this should be on our faction generation. If we look at our faction datas, how far are you along? What type of multiplayer are you doing? Are you going to do like Steam multiplayer? I'm dreading when I get to that part. I would like to have, for this game, like a matchmaking thing, like a lobby where you matchmake, and then when you matchmake, it gets off of the server and you're just connected to each other. Let's see. I was like, what's going on here? All right. So that is there. So at this point, we haven't even moved faction generation yet. So I wonder why it's this right here. Let's put a breakpoint there. Man, I once again, I know I say this all the time, but I don't know why I was avoiding learning about breakpoints for so long. It makes life so much easier. If you're like me and you're scared of breakpoints, don't be. So it is. Okay, so this is the first one, which is right. Did you go forward? That's right. Did you go forward? I can't tell if it's going forward. What is this number? 562? We are not going forward. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong button. Oh, how did this ever work? I see the problem here. Oh no, this should be here. Why are you not getting your faction leader there, buddy? Does that mean nobody? Oh yeah, I moved from Unity. I started in Unity. What made you move from Unreal? Just to see what it could do? So after Unity, I thought I hadn't 100% decided on Godot or Unreal, and I went to install Unreal, and it was this computer doesn't have much space on it. It was so huge that I was like, you know what? I want something smaller. So that's as far as I got, was even like just the attempt of installing it. This should already have somebody assigned, and he's not getting assigned. So I wonder where this is going wrong. Create faction leaders. He should be a faction leader. Faction get cast is a type which is not valid. We're casting this as a faction. Generate population. Oh, here's another magic number. What didn't take me long to find an example of that. um, for faction. Oh, I missed a word in here. Well, no shit. There's a problem there. Faction parents. Whoops. I don't. Is this gonna work? So I love me some sci-fi flying games. I feel like there aren't enough out there. So you definitely got to link when you're to the point. And I actually have noticed lately too is that like I used to be like really in the first person ones, but it's my opinion has changed and I like pretty much all of them. Hey, look at that. It has a faction leader now. So that was because I had a typo in my code. As you would expect. All right, I guess we could have kept that thing running, but we'll run it from here. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, something else is busted here because we're not getting our colors. So this is basically what it looks like, but these should be color coded to the faction. Oh, what's going on here? This should also be color coded to the faction. Each hero should. That looks terrible. The information's here though. So why is the color coding not working? I bet you, did I do it again in that same thing where I did instance? What's the X4s? I almost played some X4 last night. Is probably one of the better games that I played. Like the level of jank on that game is fucking insane. Where am I color coding these things? I think that's after right here. I did it again. Look at that. Fucking Jesus Christ. I guess it's an easy thing to find. I did 3 of those, so I wonder if the other one. There we go. Now we got our factions going. So yeah, basically this is just the temporary. These are the test counties, but it's gonna be like, a map painting game where you take over the whole world. We only have these 7, and you're only gonna start out with 1 to begin with. But for testing, I needed some factions to have more than 1 to start with, but this is a player's starting thing. And so the difference between this game and other games like this is we're going to keep track of every single person in the game, every NPC in the game, and so that's what all this is. And you can spawn. Actually, we got to test that war thing. So let's see if we can test that. I am not confident that this will work. We already got a problem here. Player controls. See, the war dictionary didn't work. Whatever we were doing with that war dictionary thing, where the fuck was that thing? Diplomacy or something? Oh, this is a storage HBox. Oh, no, it's not. I was thinking this is where we had those other magic numbers. I was trying to find them earlier. Did I close it? It's the war matrix thing. I bet you I did the same thing. I didn't put the faction parents thing in. We probably could find it with get children. No, globals.instance.get children. Here it is. Yep. I did the same thing 3 times in a row. All right, let's try this again. So you must be an experienced developer if you've been using game engines by that point. Do you have a release game yet? All right, let's try this one more time. So you need to go in here. I guess we need to also. I should have declared war on this guy because there's only one of them. I have a feeling this is gonna be broken. I don't know why. We lost? Wait, what? Yeah, mine's just a hobby too. Same thing. We gotta put in our cheat. Did I ever make a bool for that so that the cheat I didn't have to find that code and put the cheat back in there? Because it's dumb if I didn't make a bool. Because I don't remember where that shit is. It's under like battle controls. And then I have to do this every time. Let's look at globals actually. It probably is actually over here. All right, like I gotta win the wars to test this thing out. Globals. Oh my god. Load game at start. Oh, that's for our soon to be win all battles. I did put a bool in here. I was kind of surprised because that was annoying for a while, but yeah, chat helps me a lot. Bruce Nelson, huh? With learning new things. We were just talking about Strux. I don't know enough about them. We got to win this war here. I think I can just click that twice. That's a problem. All right, go faster. All right, we've won and we got our debug here. So I knew something weird was going to happen. Oh, you know what the problem was? Is I never dragged over this dead thing. Where did I put that under? Faction shit? Yep. Faction shit seems about right. This dead factions needs to be in here. One more time. Oh, you sent a link to the game. Let's look at it. I don't see it. You're on YouTube. I wonder if it got blocked. It looks like so on YouTube. I can't look at the block message, or I don't know how. One or the other. I wish I could. Community moderation. What does this bring me to? Now these are just the settings. Yeah, I can't look at that. It should. Yeah, there's no links. Maybe you can't post links at all on YouTube. What's the name of it? I'll Google it. I'll declare war here too while we're. Christine Richardson, eh? Oh, we gotta convert you into a leader though, an army leader. We're gonna get rid of that. It won't be required. We'll declare war here. We'll win. We got 2 bugs. I'm glad I decided to test this. Research data. Oh, you know, generally when it gets here, that means that there's a different problem. Faction parents get child. Complete research. So it's interesting, this one was already set up this way. What is this? I'm just curious what this other one is. Okay, so it's also a research thing. Complete research. We have a rainbow thing in here. Is that where? No, it got past that. Oh, we have. No. Holy shit. This is a different... Do I have a casting issue in here? Factions? No, that's not what I wanted. I think I have a casting issue in here is why it's flipping out. This seems like a casting. Out of bounds. Oh, we blew up that one thing. So my plan was, we can look at this. My plan was, yeah, so faction 1 we destroyed. My hope was that we could, so instead of having the list, because how it worked before, when a faction died, we had that list and we removed them from the list and we put them in a list called dead factions. But my hope was we could just get rid of this, move this to this other node, and then the new list would be this, and it would just be short one thing, which is fine. So now this is 0, you know, in the list, the array or whatever. But I think I've done, I must have, did I hard code this stuff in? Let's hope not, because that would be dumb. It looked like I was testing against, go back to here. Let's see here. Oh, we're doing it by faction ID is the problem. Okay, so the faction ID would have changed at that point. Well, it wouldn't have changed, but we would need it to change. Oh, that's bad. Okay, so is there another way to do this? All right, so this isn't going to work. Now we're back to a different issue. So the faction ID is set at the beginning, I think. I don't think I manually typed this crap in here. I hope I didn't, but it's possible. Multiplayer authority. It looks like maybe I typed this stuff in. No, I didn't. Okay, so they're set. The faction ID is set at the beginning. So we need to either update the faction ID. We could leave. What if we leave this in the faction, this, and we just put like dead behind it? So instead of moving it down here, yeah, because it's going to throw off, everything is going to get fucked up if we're using faction IDs. Yeah, we could leave this in here and we could just put dead in here. Remember, this is the only thing this is used for is just to help debug later. And maybe, so we're going to have some sort of this back to the multiplayer thing. There's like a node sync thing. I think we can sync these nodes. I forget what they're called. I'm not going to actually, on remote. Here, I'll just do it to this. I think it's called like a multi-synchronizer. We'll have like this thing. Sync these nodes. I think that's what we can do. I don't know. Like, I really need to work on my other game offline to get the knowledge to, because this is going to be very complicated. Luckily, this save game thing is going to take 6 months to fix. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're not going to move it. Where did that thing go that I wrote? Reparent. We're not going to do this. We're going to rename this. We're going to convert faction node to dead, convert faction to dead faction. And the only thing we'll do, we could have a faction status somewhere and then put an enum in and say it's dead as well. Right now, I think we'll just rename it. I don't remember. No. So the problem is it goes through those children. when it's doing like AI stuff, which is very primitive right now. Like it might only do like one thing, and we need it to not. So we're gonna have to we need it to skip the faction that's dead. So let's put in, well, let's go to our enums here. And let's put in some sort of faction status. I'm just looking that we don't have something already similar. And well, instead of, I was at first thinking a bool, but every time I think I'm going to use a bool, I just use an enum instead, because I can add to it later. So, faction status. What am I doing here? Public enum faction status. Alive. Come on, fingers. Oh, Jesus Christ. Dead. And then we'll probably have something else later. And then we'll go back to this faction data thing we were doing. Can I close some of this crap? Player controls. Research. We're going to have to do that. So we'll pass in the faction ID. We'll have the faction node. We're going to go faction node dot name equals $ squig. We got two. What? Squigs faction node dot faction. Why is this a node? Faction node, faction data, faction ID space, faction name, space, dash, dash, dead, period. No, period. That looks like to me what we're doing. We're just putting actually the name. You know, I'm going to put the ID there. I'm going to actually say, though, ID. Is this overkill? Sure. Okay, then we're not reparenting shit. Then in here, we're going to do the same faction node dot faction. I think I'm going to rename this to faction node, this faction thing. I'm not quite sure why I call it faction. I think that's back from Unity. I don't know. I'm going to blame it on Unity, even though I wrote the code. Let's put this under faction public all enums faction status. It's going to default to alive, so that's good for us. Faction status equals dead. Then we're going to need to find where we were doing this faction stuff and fix this, because right now it's going to run through all of those. And have them do stuff. It's even though they're dead. I bet you they would, but it's going to error out though. Let's see. This is going to be under none of those things. Yes. Yeah, oh, we can delete this. And we can get this out of here. Deleting things wholesale here. You know, I think I thought I put this. It's not gonna be in any of these. I thought I put an actual like county thing in here, with like the game where it runs through each thing. My memory is terrible, but like this should be. And it's obviously still working. It's not the county dictator. I look at this code all the time. It's the county code that it's not that. It is this code. I look at it all the time. Where is this? How does this thing work? I don't think this can just sit in here, can it? Like, doesn't it need to be? It's a node 2D. Okay, so this is attached, and it's all come back to me here. This is attached to the factions and then the counties. That's another reason we do need the node in there. So, man, my brain is not what it used to be. Make some grub. I appreciate the lurking. So I want to open up this faction again here. We don't need all this crap open. These story events and stuff. Kind of ask, what type of grub are you making? Just, I know you're going, but. What is this thing sitting down here for? Every time. Why is it down there? This should be in UI scenes. I'm about to break something. All right, well, that's global suppressions. Yeah, all right. I'm like getting sidetracked by just looking at the garbage of my code. But what we need to do is we need to go into scripts and we need to look at that faction code that I had to open earlier because this is attached to the subscribe to events. Okay, so what it does is when these things are attached, I forgot how this works. Man. So we generate those nodes of the factions and the counties, and then on Ready, it subscribes to these events. So those nodes are definitely very important. The thing I was like, maybe we might need the list. Why did I have that parallel list? It's so fucking stupid. I can't believe it. Anyway, so then it's going to run through here. And so this is where we need to have it like, no, if you're dead, we need to get that. We probably should just unsubscribe from these events, right? You know what we also could do, this is way off in the future, but if we have all these dead nodes that are still in there, we could have them subscribe to other events. Like they could start rebellions or whatever. Yeah. So I think the way we're doing it is much better than that list. I mean, so what we'll do is if it's a dead node, we'll have to unsubscribe. This is going to be a problem though in the future because when we load the game, let's do this. Let's pre-plan this. If faction data dot faction status is not equal to dead, then subscribe to events. So this is, so right now this will, well, everything's always alive when they start. But what we can do, I'm not while I can't while I'm streaming. You mean while I'm streaming? You guys are crazy. He's streaming? What crazy shit are you talking about? For the country. You're talking about the pirate thing? You get a jump to call for talking about the thing. How would I jump in? I'll jump into something. Who cares, right? I don't actually know what I'm fixing here. I'm just gonna delete these. A Discord group. I'll have to turn off my music. Yeah, I can do that. Let me, yeah. What are we talking about? The pirate software thing? I feel like, my opinion is kind of worthless, but assign all the heroes passive research. I don't know what this is, so the research. Oh, yeah, we'll get rid of that for now. We can always fix that later. No, I'm curious what you guys are talking about. I totally know. I'm curious what you're talking about. A Discord call. I gotta fix my Discord. I think my Discord is my settings are bad. For some reason on this computer specifically. No, it looks like it's right. On this computer specifically, a lot of times when I join calls, I have to like fuck with the settings a bunch, but it looks right. I did, you know, the main thing that it's, I guess I'll wait. I don't know how to jump into your call though. I'm fixing my cord. Ow. That's what my cord thing is the worst. All right, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to go into this thing and we're going to have it unsubscribe. Joker's talking about joining a call, and I said, I'm down. We'll see what, I don't know what call, though. So let's see. What we'll do, we don't want it to be a static. We want it to be a specific, I don't even know what that's called. But in here, we're going to want to unsubscribe. Subscribe faction or subtract. Okay, so we're going to want to have a new thing. So we're going to want to have a subscribe to events. Where'd you go? Unsubscribe, public void, unsubscribe from events. I don't see any call things in Discord. So we're going to want to do all of these. Then I think what we can do... Whoops. That's what? What am I hitting? Then I think what we can do here is... faction node dot, then we'll just unsubscribe Oh, here I'm typing in. I'm typing in a comment, even though I said less comments. All events. So the faction doesn't do anything anymore. I don't. Do we need that on the county level? I think we might have to do that on the county level too. No, we don't. We don't have to do it on the county level because I'm going to put a note in here. I don't think we have to do it on the county level because where was that? That was in here. No, that's under faction data. This should probably be under faction. A friend request. Wait, is it an anime girl? I'm always joking that all the friend requests that I get on Discord are like anime girl things. All right, and I'm gonna stop my music. Let's see. We don't need that bright thing up because I'm gonna have to unmute my music. Utter chaos? Yes. All right, what's this? This is now we're in a group chat over here. So the only thing I've used Discord for is when like they join a voice channel. I've never done like a call on here. You guys know what I'm talking about, where they do like you have a little voice thing and you just jump in there. We could have done that on like Mike's thing, right? I called him Mike on Crystal's thing because we're both in there. I'm here. I'm in the group chat. I'm in the group chat. Should I move this to faction? Yeah. I think this should go to faction. Because it's a faction level thing. We should get a... Okay, I see something. I don't hear anything, though. Join call. Hello. Let me unmute my desktop stuff. There we go.
On the phone with KBD, Joker. What's going on, homie?
How's it going?
Joker's just laughing. All right, you want to drive, Joker, or what? Is KBD stream up?
Yeah, I'm still streaming. I'm gonna
Okay,
work
we're
on.
both streaming.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on this while obviously until I get sidetracked in 2 seconds.
Wait, so KBD, you're down to be in on this scheme.
Yeah.
So here's how, like, I don't know, Joker. I actually, like, real quick. So here's how, like, from my perspective, I've been interested in this story. I've long thought, like, Pirate was a fraud, like, just straight up. Like, I've long been sus of him. I don't know if Joker remembers this, but, like, early on, I was, like, very naively, I was like, Joker, what did he do? Like, what does he create? Like, not, like, accusatory, just, like, question mark. Like, what did he do,
Right.
So, like, I've long been interested in the story, and, like, the fact that it's all blowing over, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted Joker to cover it. That's kind of the backstory.
So I think Joker actually was the person who introduced me to Pirate Software. I don't remember what the context was, but I think you sent me like a link.
Josh got so many swords.
Well, like, the thing is, dude, like, and I've said this before, and I stand by it. Like, when it comes, you and I, KBD and Joker, we all do digital media, at least at different degrees of effort, right? I spend a lot of time on stream. KBD does stream on weekends. Joker does a YouTube video every week. And it's not easy, right? Like, to get an audience. So I've always commended him on that piece, right? The fact that he was able to accomplish what he has. But I've just always been sus about, like, how good the audacity for him to purport, for example, that he's the Bob Ross of computer science. I always thought that was just audacious as fuck.
So, at the beginning when I was watching his stuff, I just took him at face value because I was not suspect at all. I was just like, huh, That guy seems cool because he also like gave good advice. It seemed like, but then this is the thing with him is that it's like they've ever since the WoW thing, they've been like slowly chipping away at him, and I can't even get away from it. You know what I mean? Like I don't even care, and then it comes back on my feeds, and I'm like,
Right,
at this
something
point,
pops up.
right, exactly. And then I can't help but watch the shit, and so then more. And I'm surprised he hasn't taken a break, and that's why I was wondering if it's like his money is very tied into him having the stream.
KBD, I heard you say that earlier. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I think he's loaded. Like my guesses, and maybe Joker with better stuff. I think he's probably does million in revenue plus a year. I would guess that would be like just from like the amount of people he gets. Like we could easily find some of these numbers, but I suspect he's got a lot of money.
So that would be crazy. It seems like I said, he should just take a break for a while and let everything blow over, or like Chad was saying earlier, that like maybe just stream to his, just to followers or on his Discord or something, so that because even I watched him yesterday because I was curious how he was handling it, and like every third chat message was something snotty towards him. You know what I mean? Like, man, just
you
like
know what else?
Naughty.
Naughty was a weird word.
snotty,
That was a
snotty,
weird
not naughty. Snotty.
Well,
I'm not.
you've got the only pirates.
Yeah, I heard naughty. I was like, that's a weird word choice.
So here's the thing. Here's the other thing I think might have happened. He's in influencer communities. I saw a picture that came up. You know that guy who does raps, like freestyle raps? The guy did a freestyle rap for, get this, it was Prime, it's Theo, and Pirate. Like, that's like a weird group. I mean, I guess they're software engineering influencers, but it was weird. Like, so I saw like a Mac freestyle where he did it for those three guys. And here's what I'm trying to get at. Pirate has a lot of famous friends or influencer friends. I think they don't like him, like, because why these fires keep going off. It's like, it's Moist Critical covering it. It's like the big influencers who chime in. So I think he made some, this is just a guess. Obviously, I have no idea. It seems to me like he pissed some of these people off,
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like with a lot of influencers, I even hate the term, is that it's so easy for them to turn on you. You know what I mean?
Shit.
Like, yeah.
It's beneficial. Well, I've been telling this to Joker since I met him, because I've always known he had a YouTube channel. Like, as soon as something bad happens to him, like bad news breaks, I'm going to cover it, So I'll make a YouTube. Because I've got a bunch of private
DMs. The longer he waits,
shit.
the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the thirst goes.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right though. Because from their perspective, it's like content, right? So it's almost like they turn on each other. It's a benefit to their career.
Yeah, which is great. Which is actually one of the things he said too. He was like, a lot of these people are just trying to make money off me or whatever, which I can kind of see too. So I don't know if you guys are around when I was saying this earlier, but I kind of feel sad for him.
Why?
Because if he just backed off from the arrogance, I think he would be less of a target. See, the problem is he's so arrogant.
I want to talk about this because actually, there's so many layers about this that interest me. That's one of them, because I don't believe he's a very competent software engineer, maybe a game developer, but I don't. But how did he get so far? Like, how was he able to keep it up for so long? Because here's what it's to your point, KBD. Imagine I had 10,000 viewers, and then one day it comes out like it was bad news, whatever. I would just go back to what I do, which is create software. You know what I mean? Like I'm competent. I feel comfortable in that area. I wouldn't even address any of the drama. You know what I'm saying? Like I would just focus on what I do. But for him, I'm not sure that there is something there. There's no there. So like, you know what I mean? Like if he was like, whatever his competency is, like he could just resort to that. Should drama come up? Here's an example. Carl Jobs, the YouTuber, like speedrun stuff. I'm sure you've seen him, KBD.
I probably have, but I don't. My terrible memory.
Hello, you absolute legends. Like he got in beef with that dude from King of Kong. I forget, Billy Mitchell. Like they had like this legal case. Did you hear about it? It was a pretty big story, maybe like 2 months ago. But long story short, like he came out of it looking bad. But the next thing he did after all the bad news happened, he didn't stop streaming or creating YouTube content. What he did instead was just start doing what he did before, which was highlight speedrunners. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that was his
Yeah.
core competency, and so like he just went right back to it. So yeah, I don't know. The whole situation is bizarre, but I don't feel bad for him, KBD. What I think is like he's gonna be all right if he could just go back to whatever it is that makes him good. I just don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I think one of his main attractions, honestly, is his voice.
Yeah, for sure.
People,
Oh,
people
some
like to
obviously
get,
fakes that too.
the first
The
time I was
thing-
like, holy shit, dude, this guy has a deep voice, crazy. Which I guess is also all bullshit. Which is like that.
What is
that,
the story with?
I
What's
guess
the
it's.
story? What's the
I don't
late
know.
term pubescence?
I don't know. Some people are saying that it just he has a voice setting on his stream, so he sounds deeper.
Apparently, when you hit your 30s or whatever, at least what he was saying, you can hit like a second puberty, and that's what happened to him. I don't know.
Joker, I heard the same thing. I mean, doesn't that reek of bullshit?
Yeah.
I've never heard about it until it came out of his mouth.
Doesn't that just it sounds like just such a lie, you know? But maybe it's true. I don't know. People's voices do change. You guys know like musicians. People sometimes if you follow a musician for 30 years, sometimes I've heard them say like address like the question, why is your voice change? You know, because they've been on the road
Yeah.
singing, smoking cigarettes, you know, drinking, you know. So
Yeah.
After 30 years of that, your voice changes. So I don't want to rule it out completely, but it just strikes me as such bullshit.
So
Right.
My homie Ash says sad for scamming people.
he said what?
My homie Ash says it's sad for the people who were scammed.
There was a bug. Oh man, I just found a bug in my game. Oh yeah, so that's that. So I totally thought he was pro Pirate Games too because of the name of his thing, and so that
Yeah.
was a new thing I learned when I was watching the code review stuff. Is they were talking about DRM, and I was like pretty shocked that he had any DRM on his stuff. I mean, I guess it doesn't work very well, but that like why I thought
There's
he
ways around
I
it.
yeah, and so that also kind of changed my opinion. Like I still feel sad for him, but I think that's kind of a misrepresentation because I think everyone should just find their games on the back of a truck. You know, it's weird to me. Like the whole thing is really weird because it all started with that WoW thing. Unless it was going on before, and the WoW thing just brought it to my attention.
It did start with the WoW thing. No, you're not making that up. If you would have I've been on stream for about a year, right? I've been streaming on Twitch for about a year. Like there was nobody stinging him. That's why when I asked Joker like what has he done? This is like maybe 8-10 months. There was almost no negative feedback about him, right?
Yeah, that
like
was a big
Joker.
explosion that's still going to this day.
Yeah, but I mean,
Still
before then,
banned
was there
people that were
really?
going in there and saying things
Is he?
about the whole WoW situation?
Do you understand the WoW situation? Because I don't really. Like he just played like a wimp or something in the game.
So they were playing World of Warcraft, and they were playing on a hardcore server. So once you die, you completely lose your character, right?
Yeah.
And they went on a raid, and from my understanding, their first attempt did not go too well, and they had to run and back off, retreat, right? Get out of there before they all die. And on their second attempt, where the situation occurred, and this is where I can kind of say not really his fault, but then the way he reacted kind of pushed everything. They were in there, things weren't going too well again, and somebody gave the order to run. So when somebody's yelling out, you've already had this problem, and all of a sudden someone takes control and they're yelling, run, run, run. You run, right? You take that order. Someone's taking charge of the group. And so he was running, and then I guess a few seconds later or whatever, he says, why are you running? And that's when DC started giving, I guess, a smug response to the whole situation, and people thought he wasn't taking things seriously, and because he was the only one that actually ran, even though someone said run, 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 he took the blame for all of that.
And to KBD's point, there were a sequence of issues, right? There was the WoW thing that occurred. Then this was madness. I don't know if KBD caught this. There was a time when he went in a game. There was like a game in beta and he had a guild, and he had like his guild like run roughshod on all these smaller. Did you guys ever catch this story? This is not long after the WoW drama, but he had his guild like run roughshod in like some game that's in beta. It was really bizarre, and that was the second story I heard. Then people started to look into his credentials. The hacker stuff is so weird. You know
The
what I
hacker
mean?
stuff was
When in
very
your
weird.
life, when in your life have you ever heard somebody come out and say, "Hello, look at me, I'm a hacker"? You know what I'm saying? Like, when in your life have you ever, if have you ever? I can't think of one. You know, like good hackers, like anonymous. Oh, Ash says Ashes of Creation. There was a game called Ash of Creation, and his and basically, if you didn't catch that story, it was right after the WoW. He was like running roughshod on people in this game, you know, because he had all these viewers, and I guess his guild was strong, and they were just like destroying people and like PvP. I'm gonna butcher it because I don't know the story or the game that well. But yeah, there was like that story that came up, and then the hacker thing. You know, somebody was looking into his credentials, and the hacker thing was just odd. You know, because there are hacker groups like Anonymous who are incredibly successful, but you know, you don't never. That's why they're called anonymous, right? Because they're actually doing some crazy shit. They don't want people to know. You know, so that was all weird. But I think the point that I think I want to make, like on the topic, is I was impressed when I read Blizzard dev, like on a YouTube video, let's say. This is true for Prime as well. When he wrote Netflix dev feels this way, or in Pirate's case, Blizzard dev think does, you know. But Joker said in a chat to me today, and I think it's a good point. He leveraged that so much, that Blizzard label, to, you know, promote his content, and then come to find out, like, none of it was really it was all none of it was there was no there. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think if you know, a point that hasn't been brought up that Joker made, and I agree with, is that was kind of you know, it was something that deserves some attention. This idea, he wasn't a Blizzard engineer. At best, he was just a staff. You know, like nothing meaningful, right? And any more meaningful than, you know, just a staff QA on another job. You know what I'm saying? I heard him say once, "I'm leaving AAA games," as if he was like, that was like some big deal. Do you know what I mean? Like, I heard him
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
"I'm leaving," like that would be like me saying, "I'm leaving logistics software." You know what I mean? Like, nobody gives a shit. It's gonna go
Yeah.
on. You know, like
I'm just a staff dev. I gotta stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if I think that's a point that, you know, Joker made that I think's worth, you know, worth considering, because he did. How did he get as big as he did if he didn't actually do anything? And I think a lot of that was on the branding.
So there's two things. I think that like what Joker was saying about what happened with the WoW thing is all he needed to have done was once again just be like, you know what, I fucked up. I got scared and I ran away. Which other people were doing too, but don't, like, if you're gonna apologize, don't say other people were doing it too. But you know, like, that's all he needed to say, and it would have blown over. But then because he kept like doubling down, that's when all the other people also were like,
his ego, arrogance, whatever.
exactly. And then
Yeah.
that's when, like, you were saying that you could see it right away, but I couldn't see it. But then when I saw clips later, I was like, oh wait, his tone is kind of like shitty. I thought his tone was just him trying to be helpful, but now I see through the tone. You know what I mean? And then other people are like,
Yeah.
and I know part of it also is the framing. Like that clip that I'd be watching was, it would be cut so that I could see the tone very specifically. But even then, like I said, I watched him yesterday or day before for, I don't know, like 10 minutes only, but his tone had been changed in my mind. You know, and it went from, oh, this guy's like trying to help out, to that, wow, this guy's kind of a dick. You know what I mean? Like, like it pulled
Why do you think? Why? Like, look, I think I'm gonna say it right now. I think Joker's a better game dev than Pirate. I don't think there's any real way to dispute that. You know, measuring somebody, but right, like, but I don't think Joker's the best game dev. You know what I mean? I think he's a good, competent game dev.
Wizard.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is, like, I think I'm a competent engineer. How did he, who's not competent at all, get to the front of the line? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that question boggles my mind. Like, how did he, what is it? What was he able to convey, right, from, like, say, game development perspective, that was so impactful? There's no evidence that he was actually a very. Do you know what I'm trying to get at? Like, what was it that he did? Because that was the question I had early on. It wasn't that I saw right through him. It was just, as a game developer, as a software engineer, like, you can check our work. Like, what had he ever done? That was, like, always my question. I think what I'm trying to get at, I think the Blizzard branding is what did it. I think, like, you see Blizzard dev, ex-Blizzard dev, you're like, oh, I should take this guy seriously, right? You know what I mean? And I think that's what carried him so far.
Is that so? I came in way late to knowing who he was. Is that the thing?
I think so. I don't know, but I'm that's what I find. So there's so many layers of interest I have in the subject. But that's one of them. Like, how did he do it? Like, how did he get so far without a lot of ability or accomplishment? And I think it was because he had worked at Blizzard and he relied on that. Because most people will say, like, the first videos they saw of him were something to the effect of Blizzard dev thinks this or Blizzard dev does. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I don't know.
So the other thing that, and I've thought about this, so, you know, on my other channel, when I stream video games, I did that for like 2 years, and I was pretty shocked how quickly people didn't come back. Like, people who liked my stream, they'd be like, your stream was awesome, and I'd never see them again.
And
so right, and it might be because I'm shitty at it. You know, that is quite a possibility that I'm a shitty streamer. You know, but I was looking at, like, so I started like look at some data and then just kind of pay attention more. And I think that there is like a thing with, why is my game still running even though it says it's paused?
You left us on a cliffhanger. You left us on a cliffhanger there.
Sorry.
What is the thing?
So I think that a lot of the successful streamers cheat. There's something that goes on where they're paying for viewers and stuff like that to get going. I think that that's really much more common.
Definitely people that do.
Yeah, and I think that organic. So I've watched now. You know, I didn't used to watch that many streamers, but what's that?
Wow, that's a big claim. I kind of agree with you. Continue though. You were saying you watched a lot of streamers. Go ahead.
So more recently, I've watched a lot more streamers, and the people who are, I'm like, I watch a streamer and I'm like, this guy is organically should be a winner on Twitch. They have like 3 viewers and they never can get out of the 3 viewer thing. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there are some people who have done it organically, but I do think a lot of the people cheat somehow. I think that there's a whole network of kind of like getting you into the influencer thing. And I think that's also why a lot of them kind of fade away, is because they can't keep up the cheating. Like, because it costs money. You know, it's not free. The cheating's not free. You know,
can you cheat though? Like, I think that's an absolute fact that there's some kind of cheat code. But can you cheat at getting viewers specifically? Like, when I say a cheat code, I mean, like, if your homies, I say this a lot on stream. It's like if I wanted to do like an award shows are the worst example of this, because I saw like that fighting game conference Evo was doing an award. It's like, imagine I was doing an award, so I would say like, okay, nominated for best engineer, Ash, my homie. Nominated for best game dev, Joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're creating an award show, you just pick who's the best at it. It doesn't mean anything, you know? So,
right.
Like, in that sense, I agree that there's some kind of cheat code, right, at play. But is it that you could just buy viewers though? Is that even possible?
So I don't know what it is. You can buy viewers, but you have to pay for them. You know, that's why viewers is blocked on my. You can't say the word viewers in my chat because you get all those bots.
That's just a question of whether Twitch.
Oh, that's right. Duh. Yeah.
Get rid of them, and then if you want them to follow your channel for a raid, you have to pay extra.
Yeah.
And that, of course, you're going to do that because then it's going to look even more legitimate. Otherwise, it's like, oh, you got 40 people on your channel, but only 2 showed up to the raid. Why did 38 people click cancel?
Yeah, and so, you know, here's an example of cheating, because I do it on my YouTube channel.
Cheater!
Right. So when I first started exporting my streams from Twitch to YouTube, I didn't do anything. Ash it says he's the best game dev. But I would never look at it, upvote it, or anything, right? I would just export it, and I would get 0 views. The minute I started upvoting myself, I started it, and so that one upvote mattered that much.
Told you.
And it's crazy.
Jumpstart that interaction.
Yeah, and
it's funny you mentioned that. I learned that cheat code as well. So for folks who don't know, if you have a Twitch stream, you can export it to YouTube directly, and if you do so, you will get 0 viewers. There will be but if you take that same stream and then upload it, hit the like yourself, you actually get a few views. You know, but it's so noticeable. Like, for me, I've never gotten more than a couple hundred views on a YouTube video. But for those ones that are straight exported from Twitch, you will get 0, or 1. You know what I mean? You'll get nothing.
Yeah, and it's the crazy thing is that one vote actually matters that much. So I know, like, imagine if you're paying for 1,000 votes, like it's definitely going to
Right.
launch it, and you do that because. And I'm not advertising for these people, but I actually looked up their price because I was curious, and it was extremely
That's a
inexpensive.
liar. Liar. He did it for research. Yeah, right.
No, I didn't pay for it, but it was surprisingly inexpensive too. So I was like, wow, you can get like 1,000 likes pretty cheaply on a YouTube video, you know? So like,
Right.
imagine if your goal, you have rich parents and your goal
Right.
is to, you know, cheat on Twitch and stuff, you can come out very, very much, your start's going to be much more advantageous compared to a person who's just like organically like streaming whatever new indie games and is just trying to build a crowd. And there's also like the whole thing of like kissing ass of big streamers and hoping that they'll mention you. And so then
Right.
that whole parasite like type thing that goes
Right.
on.
So do you think, like, I think, like, when I watch Asmon's channel, I don't think there's any doubt that there's a lot of people there. You know, are you saying there's nobody, or like there's far fewer, and maybe Pirate is one of these streamers who their audience, the viewership was fictitious?
No, I think that it's a way for people to get started. Like, and I think that I don't think
right.
they have to eventually, or they give up, but they have to eventually get some viewers. And I think Pirate has real viewers. Like, his chat is filled up with people saying original stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
Right.
I think the real viewers, and especially because, like I said last time, they were kind of. What did I say? They're posting naughty stuff.
Naughty.
No,
You said
snotty.
naughty.
I said snotty. No.
If you take a look at the Discord now, I'm actually sharing the screen, and we can actually see some of Pirate stats here.
Let's see. Let's look at it.
Let me go over and I'll try to bring it up on mine too.
The Joker streaming. Yeah, peak viewers 7,000 people.
Yeah, this scores Twitch. Negative.
I'm gonna bring this
512
over,
an hour.
guys, if I can.
What is averaging?
Oh,
Here, 1 second. I'm fixing it on my stream, but go ahead. If there's something you're looking at.
all right.
There you see peak viewers down, the average is down. The hour stream apparently is down by 46 hours. 213,000 down. This is over the last 7 days.
Let's see. Negative 512 followers per hour.
Go to the last 3 months. Look at that.
It used to be too. I actually used to follow him or whatever on Twitch, and every time I would turn on Twitch, he was streaming. So I don't if the cut back on hours may also hugely affect his.
Yo, can I ask you a question? How does he stream for so long?
I don't know.
Like,
It's crazy.
How does he do it? Like, that kind of. I mean, he streams every day for like 10 hours. You know that person on Twitch, guys, in the software? Do you know that person on Twitch who's in the software category? It's a girl, Miggy is like her name. She's like building an MMO. You know who I'm talking about, right, Joker? We rated her once, Birdbot and I. Well, I forget what her name is though, but she streams like every day. She's on for like 10 hours a day, and who knows what she's doing. But like the ability to stay on stream for that long is kind of mind-boggling.
Especially programming, man. My brain would be mush after.
Yeah.
It already is mush after 3 hours.
Oh, there's the numbers.
Here we have YouTube. The last 30 days, minus 140,000.
Yeah.
Whoa, he makes between. Is that for real? No.
Yeah, I bet it's true.
I mean, there's a wide, huge gap.
Yeah, but I bet he does make a million. I bet and actually, and when I'm saying this, I'm saying it just kind of like shot in the dark. I wouldn't be, if I had that type of audience, I think you could monetize it to $1 million pretty easily. That's so many people watching your content. You know what I mean? Like, I totally believe it that he's making $1 million a year.
He's losing like 10K a day.
Why is it 10K? Like, why isn't it like 5K and then 6K and then 7K? I do see that 10K. Why is that? Like, why is it at 10K? Is that like
what people keep?
Why is it always 10
every day? I mean, I'm sure it's like
but why 10
something? But I don't know.
It's always 10K.
Yeah, that is weird. That it isn't
daily average 4.7, weekly average.
Well, maybe it's just maybe it's just a rough estimate, you know, like maybe it's like could be like 10 to 15 or 10 to 20. Yeah,
How,
because it would be so weird if it was 10K every day.
how many people does he have on YouTube?
Millions. Let's see.
I guess so. Oh, is that
Subscribers
what
at
that
the
number
moment?
is right there? 2.4 million? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know he was that huge on YouTube.
He's top
Yeah,
at
he's big.
2.51 in the last
Well,
little
that's
bit, now
another
down to
reason.
2.4
That's another reason
last
why
14 days.
why everyone's talking about him. I didn't know he was that huge on YouTube. I thought he was just more of a Twitch person.
Yeah, and you know the
Oh,
other thing
I
too
know
is
his
like
shorts completely blew up. Yeah.
his shorts are very good. I mean, like
Are they?
in terms of traction. On traction, yeah. Like I think he's
Oh,
a lot of people were made aware of him because of his shorts. And Joker, remember that one time we watched that video where he said like his viewership on Twitch like went up like 20x because of shorts? I took him at his word when he
Yeah.
said that, but now I'm a little sus on like anything he says, dog.
right. Makes
Look at
sense.
that drop.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
no,
could
that's
say no. In 1 year, he's going to have less than 1 million if it keeps up like this.
Right.
Imagine going from 2.5 million to less than 1 in a year.
It's it's not a good feeling, I can imagine, you know? I mean,
no, that's why
but
Yeah.
that's why I kind of, like I said, I feel sorry for him because I don't think he understands that the problems that he's running into are self-created, and he just needs to be less arrogant. People would, if he just said sorry like twice, the people would be like, "Yeah, you're right. You
Well,
know,
that's
he's
the thing,
sorry."
with like the World of Warcraft, like he had apologized, but his tweet just seemed to make people madder. I guess with
KBD, it's so
just the way he talks in general.
KBD, it's so funny you say that because like the thing about it is, I really do believe this. If he were to just like, I feel like if I could talk to him, like imagine like he was a friend I could call or I could like he come like I feel like you
Right.
could write this ship. He could write his ship so easily.
Yeah,
Unless there's no there there. That's the only thing. Unless his whole shtick was just all built on dust. Do you know what I'm saying? Like unless he has
Mhm.
nothing to resort to. And I do believe that's a possibility. I really do. Like I really believe that he has no there. Because when I see his streams, mostly what I see is video game shit. Like him playing like some game. Like I wouldn't put it past him that he really doesn't have any expertise or ability, you know, besides
Well,
like
since you brought it up,
so
let's see.
so Ash,
the
I think
GitHub
you're
has absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Ash,
You
I
can
think
click through all of these
you're
guys.
right.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, someone in chat was saying it's possible, too much ego, and I think that's the problem though. Is like his friends must not even be able to tell him, or he doesn't listen to him, or something. Does he not have any friends? You know what I mean? Like, dude,
There's
if
a lot
my
of question marks.
yeah, my
There
friends
is.
would be telling me, like, dude, you're coming off as a total asshole. You know?
What do you guys what do you guys think about what Joker just put on the screen, which is Pirate Software doesn't have any public repos, not even
And
one.
when you do see some stuff here that show up, you know, you're curious, you go look at it. It's just bug reports,
So
Right.
and there's 2 that year, and then we're back to absolutely nothing. There's 1, and then 1 the year he created it.
so what is the standard now? Like, is it like I don't know what like does if you work at
Well, pull up-
Blizzard,
pull
let's
up
say.
Pull up my Twitch and pull up my GitHub and just see what it like a normal, like just standard dev, what theirs looks like. It's a Crystal. Oh no, it's M Sylvester, Joker.
What, you expect me to type?
Well, or anybody, just like, you know, show or yours. Like you can see what a standard contribution, even if you work for a company, they may not be using GitHub, but
Look, there it
assuming you
is.
work for a company, you'll see the contributions throughout the years. There'll be a lot of green. You know what I'm saying? Like no
Yeah.
matter who.
So
It'll
even
look
if
like
you
that.
work, so if you work for like a company where you sign an NDA and stuff, are you still gonna be pushing stuff on GitHub? This
Yes,
is a genuine
like
question. I
2020
don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
yes,
you can have like
yes.
your private stuff show up, it just won't
Exactly.
be exposed for people to look at the code. But you can still have it show up on this graph here to show that you
It'll-
are doing stuff.
And it will. Go to 2020. That's
Yep.
all working at a company. All that green was at
Oh,
a company
wow.
called Cardnomatic. Yeah, you won't see any of it, but that's where it all comes from. So yeah, no, but it is true. There are times when you'll be working. There are times when you'll be working for a company and they won't use GitHub. You know what I'm saying? Like it does
Yeah.
happen.
Right.
Like at Sidecar, I think it was 2022 on my screen. 2023, you didn't see any contribution because they used AWS's code commit, so they actually use a separate repo, so you wouldn't actually see it. But if you're on a company and you use GitHub at your company, you have a company GitHub, you'll still see the contributions.
And Joker,
Again,
how
I
much
never
of
touched it before that?
how much of your
The hell was
GitHub is
that?
for your tutorials?
Just the one repo. And I was just sticking
And by the-
everything for the, according to the YouTube stuff, just sticking it all into one repo.
And by the way, we're just showing like
So if I went
just
to, like,
normal, regular
YouTube,
software
it's all
engineer.
just, like, stuffed in there.
Yeah, click on that one.
This has not been updated in a while, but
Oh, okay, but the point is like this
all
is just
different
basic
videos
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is basic software engineering. You work at a company, you don't, or not. You have like steady development over the years. It's just going to happen. The fact that he has not even one contribution is bizarre, and he hasn't come out, and he hasn't come out and
Mhm.
said like, "Oh, check out this one because I'm committing it on a different account." Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's done nothing
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised. Like I wouldn't be surprised if really he got to where he's at because of the Blizzard name, right? That Blizzard piece.
Right.
Maybe some creativity with respect to digital media. I'll give him that. With the doing shorts, etc. Like maybe some creativity with respect to that. But fundamentally, I don't think he has a lot there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Was his game a big Heartbound or whatever it's called? Was that a big deal when it came out? Because I mean, when it went into early
It's not even
access.
fully released yet.
No.
Joker, pull up the how many people are playing on Heartbound. It'll be like 0, right?
Seriously?
Like there are people playing it. I think so. Joker showed me it once. It was like how many people are playing. It was like nobody
3 people
playing.
in game.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now, I want to say this on Heartbound. You guys know there's a streamer named Captain Onosa, Captain and
Yeah.
Onosa with an O. Like he actually did like the game. To be honest, like he played it. I've never played it. He said, but it's basically a copy of Undertale, right? Like it's a 1-to-1
Right.
clone effect.
A game
Not
that took,
nothing.
like 2 years.
Yeah. I think that's what that one video said. It was 2 years.
But well, so how did Captain play it then? Yeah, I'm not sure what the story is, Ash. I don't know what. I thought it was out and that they were just adding stuff to it. That's what I thought.
I
But the
thought so
game was
too.
released.
Heartbound is, you can get Heartbound, but and here's the thing: Undertale. You see these numbers again. This is like 2 years, right? You can see approximately based on submitted responses about how long it takes main story, with sides, completionist, and average, right?
Yeah. Two and a half hours.
Yeah,
It's
for like
so
4 times the length of dev.
so
Yeah.
the other
And
thing
that's all
times
we're
the-
sitting on.
The other thing too, which we haven't even mentioned, is his whole anti stance on the killing games thing in Europe.
Yeah, let's talk
That's
about
what
it.
I'm
What are your
saying.
thoughts?
So I think it's definitely something that is really needs to be required because there's so many games that I've bought and I can think of 2 of them off the top of my head that their servers closed. I didn't know that they were right on the verge of closing. I was like, oh, this game's on sale. I'm gonna buy it
Oh,
for
yeah, one of those things
$10.
you get it last month.
Yeah, exactly. And
Well-
and one of them, it literally was like 3 days. I got to play it. It was on sale for like $2, and I was like, "Why is this on sale? I'm gonna buy this." And then the servers were gone, and I was like, "Man, why did they just let the?" Because it was one of those games. It was one of those asymmetrical, where there's like 6 people playing. You could easily host a server, like a player could host a server, but that was not allowed. It was just the game was gone, and so there could have been public servers. And so, like, I definitely think there should be some sort of, like, you can't just, rug pull everybody. And it's weird how he took, like, he kind of got, like, really hostile. So it's obvious that he feels very personally. He has some sort of, because it's possible his game might have, be affected by it. But he got, like, really hostile about it when he should have. and he misrepresented it and stuff. So that's another thing that seems weird to me. Like, why does he even give a shit? You know what I mean? Like,
Right?
it's in
Does
Europe.
anybody-
It's
I want to talk about that, but does anybody know why America? It's not possible in America, or I don't know about Canada as well. Like, is there a reason why that? Somebody said something to the effect of whatever they're proposing on Stop Killing Games is not plausible in the United States. That's why it's only in Europe or Australia. Does anybody know why that it's not possible in America?
I think it would just be very
Probably some kind of
difficult.
technicality.
Yeah, I think it would just be
Is it-
difficult to get our government to give a shit about
So
video
it's-
games.
So there is something that I now Moist Critical covered this story with Pirate, like the whole shebang, and he said something like, and I don't think this is what's required by Stop Killing Games, but I was hearing whispers like of people wanting this to mandate that you turn over the code, the source code for the game, so it could be supported by private server. I did, and that's where I'm going to be honest with you. My position, I just don't know enough. Like in theory, I like the idea of like keep. But if it's getting to the point where like your intellectual property has to become public intellectual property, that makes me a little bit nervous. And I don't know if that is part of the, but I did hear people say things to this effect. I believe it was Moist and Asman, either in the chat and also aloud, saying something effective like at the end, the code has to then become public. And I didn't like the idea of that. You know what I'm saying?
Stinklewinks, STG, I don't know what that is. Stop
Killing
something
games.
game? Stop TG? I don't know, Crystal. I don't know if is it, because that is a little bit that I can understand having some, like, for me, my game's open source, so I don't give a shit, but I can
Same.
understand like
But if I had code and this was my livelihood, like my intellectual property, I did something really great with it, like I wouldn't want to have to turn that over. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, like here, I want to say, so that is, I don't know enough about it, but I did hear some whispers about this that could be at the end, like, because here's the thing, I don't know all the specifics, but what I want to say about Pirate's involvement, because you brought it up, and I think it's a great point. How he reacted to reading it was so bizarre. Pirate, and again, it was a little bit maybe out of context. I didn't watch the whole stream, but Pirate's reading the Stop Killing Games proposal, and he's like, this is dog shit. I'm going to actively campaign against it. It was surreal to see how he reacted to, a piece of legislation, I guess, that he didn't agree with. It was so like out of line. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
totally.
all his arguments against it, I don't find very convincing. But like I'm saying, there are some pieces about just the idea of requiring a company to either turn over code, or I just don't know what it would look like. I'd like to see. I need to know more, but I don't like the idea of killing games. I think I love. I'm a retro game collector. I love that we can keep the past alive. I want that to be true, but I always get nervous when the government comes in to mandate you, for example, to turn over your code or something like that. But his reaction was the part that I think you're talking about, and I totally agree. It's just bizarre how he comes out, like he gets almost like offensive, calls the dude a used car salesman, which obviously he wasn't. Do you see that? Like he obviously wasn't a used car salesman. He was just a guy who really believed strongly in this, put together a pretty well thought out, presumably well thought out approach, definitely put action into it, but he was anything but a used car salesman.
Glowbox, thank you for the follow. So I after you mentioned it, it popped in my head that I did read it. Like the legal response from one company was to the Stop Killing Games thing was that they're like, look, we're not gonna release our server architecture code to the public. That's what they were saying. They said, look, that we have proprietary server architecture code that if we release it to the public, to like what Stop Killing Games wants, it would devastate our ability to make future games because they would be open source and then people could copy our proprietary code.
You know what they mean by that? You know what they mean by that, right? KBD. That means like how I've structured, for example, my microservices to interact with my background processes. Like, yeah, that is what we offer to the public as software engineers, as back-end engineers. Like, even though like it could be replicated easily, like that is our creativity, and so in our ability to test, caching or incoming requests, like all of the thought that we put into creating these background server architecture, like that is our IP, like that is our. So to the extent that somebody's going to mandate me to release that makes me a little bit nervous. Do you know what I'm saying?
And I can kind of I can kind of empathize with that argument. Like I can but I still think there could be a balance. Like I don't think Stop Killing Games also is saying that you need to maintain the servers forever. I think isn't it like 3 years or something after the game is.
Well, I think they're specifically saying that they don't want to maintain the servers, but I think what they are saying is that architecture they use to set up the servers, they need to allow the public. And I'm spitballing here because this may not be, but hearing what you just said now, and then some of the other I think what they're saying is that architecture that they use to set up the servers needs to be allowed for the public to set up their own servers to keep the game alive. But I don't believe they're saying that you have to pay for the EC2. But yeah, but just releasing their server architecture is IP. Is the point I was.
Yeah.
So however they. That in of itself is, and if you're a company and you're doing another game, you just fucking Exploit City. You just released Exploit City.
Yeah.
Exactly how. So I have a lot of questions, and I'm not. Many of these are probably thought out, well reasoned already, because it looked like they had. But just on the surface, Stop Killing Games. I just don't know enough about it to have a strong opinion. But I will say, Pirate knows no more than I do, but has a very strong opinion. And I think that's the big problem I have with him on everything. Is he's got a strong opinion. It's not obvious he really knows anything. You know what I mean? It's not obvious to me that he's like really spent the hours required to gain an expertise and to have an opinion. Instead, he's just willing to like call somebody a used car salesman when he has no idea what he's talking about. And that's like my big question mark with the dude. Just how comfortable he was to like speak, assertively about topics that it's not obvious he has any idea what he's talking about.
Stinkle Inc. So
I propose to you 2 solutions to that.
Yeah.
Avengers, whether you like it or not, it's great. You can still play it, even though they cut off the support for it a year or 2 ago. You can still play it. You can still play with friends. You just don't get any new events or anything. So
Avengers, the Squaresoft game,
is perfectly fine.
The Squaresoft game,
is it?
Yeah, I think Square did that game. It's so bad. I can't even believe that.
Crystal Dynamics.
It's one of gosh. Since we have the opportunity here, it's a couple of homies talk. God, can we just say how bad Square's software is? They make the worst games. Final Fantasy 16, Avengers, like that studio is got to be the most incompetent. Everything they create has no ingenuity, no attraction. Like, do you guys play Final Fantasy 16? Or the Final Fantasy 7 remakes? They're so bad. And when I say bad, I mean like there's a lot of there, but none of it's particularly interesting. 60 hours of gameplay, but all of it's just kind of boring. And for a company like Square, who was very famous in the 90s for people like me and KBD, like, made some of the best experiences of that era. Like, gosh, their modern software is just terrible.
So Stinklewings, you have a very zen take on the whole thing. He's saying that his vote would be nothing lasts forever. Learn to love what memories you made and move on to another game or make one. That's a very.
I like that. I like his take. I like his take.
Yes.
I like his take. It's something that should be in the public discussion, right? Because we're talking about media here, and media exists at a point in time, and that's what video games are. You create something that people consume. In the same way they consume a video, just more interactive, right? But they're not eating something. They're not like using it as a construct. It's just media. And so in media has a time and a place. So in that sense, I totally agree with them, and it should be part of the public discussion. And I'll also say the world, and you guys know this if you follow old school gaming, has done a great job of preserving the past. Like, I mean, outside of like the constructs of government or corporations, like individuals have stepped up and really made certain that they've made ROMs available of unreleased games. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why. I don't fully understand that's my fault, not Stop Killing Games' fault. I don't fully understand what they're trying to get done because, I don't fully understand it or how it could be done. But I think the point I think is important on this topic is that Pirate didn't either. Yet he was very, very excited to share his opinion.
Well, I think too that this is a good conversation to have. And let's say Pirate's logic is that he's really against it and he has good reasons. It's a good conversation to have so that both sides can figure out the reason and then compromise. But if it's just, no, the guy is, fuck you, you're a used car salesman, then there's no conversation being had. And then it turns into the other side says, fuck you, pirate. And, then there's nothing's going to get done, or someone's going to get absolutely screwed. Are they trying to save like MMOs? I don't know. With stuff.
Yeah, I don't. Well, KBD, your gut reaction at the start of this conversation was you think that Stop Killing Games, what they're doing is righteous and should be done.
Yes.
That's your opinion on it. And you
Yeah.
however we get there, we need to get there.
Yeah, to a point. Like there definitely has to be some sort of like, you can't be like, well, you have to release your code. But I've said this multiple times where I've played in any game that just goes belly up, and then but there's still a huge community, and it's like, why don't they just release this open source? They're not going to make any more money off of it. It's dead. You know what I mean? But they won't. And there is like and I don't think they should be forced to make it open source, but they should be much more willing to make it open source. With MMOs, that would be like I don't think that would be hard. I don't know how they would even do that with an MMO to I don't know if this applies. I don't know I should read more about Stop Killing Games before I talk about it. I'm just talking at my ass over here.
Well, that's my opinion on it too. But I think it's illustrative of the problem, because I don't know how long he looked at it, but he wasn't giving it a significant amount of time. I'm talking about Pirate Software here. Yet he came to this very assertive position, and then he criticized. He did apologize later for criticizing that the founder of Stop Killing Games, or the proponent of it. He did apologize, but he was so aggressive towards that guy for no reason, And I think it's just another layer. How about this though? How about this thought? So do you think he's doing this on purpose at this point? Like, because Pirate, I'm talking about, because he wants to be in the news. Like, and he's not apologizing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not doing anything to right the ship. He's not doing what Carl Jobs did and just go back to what he does. Best. Like he's never like stopping streaming as KBD proposed. He's not. Do you think he's wanting this type of attention?
So in Stinklewink said, it's in comments here, said both sides are creating sensational content, and I totally agree with that. But I would have thought that until we looked at his numbers earlier. I thought that until I was like, maybe he's just feeding off of the frenzy, but his numbers are getting decimated. So I would think that it'd be the opposite at this point, where people would be, I don't know if he has like a business manager or something, but someone would be like, dude, you need to stop. You know what I mean?
I remember, Joker, I remember him saying on a video that you and I watched once that he had like 8, 9 employees, which wouldn't surprise me because I bet he has the revenue for it. So, he also, so it would be shocking if let's say you work for him, and maybe I'm misquoting that, but I do believe he has staff. If nothing else, he has an editor, right, for his YouTube. Like, these people depend on him, generating revenue. Like, none of those people you think are stopping to say like, hey, dude, like you could, and I do think KBD mentioned this earlier, and I've thought it, like he could right the ship pretty easily, should he want to.
I think he
at no point has anyone, like particularly those dependent on the revenue, has stepped up and said like, hey, listen, cut the shit. You know what I mean? Like, cut the shit. Like, this is not, this is not going well for us. So it is, everything about it is interesting, and that's just like another layer of it. It's like these people depend on revenue, and nobody's like just giving him like that homie advice, like, dude, just chill out, apologize if you must or whatever, but like, this is not going right.
Yeah,
and
it's.
If he could just do it, he's been swatted. Why not just end it then? If you could just do it right away, right?
And I forgot about
with the swatting.
Yeah, the swatting. That's insane. That's insane. That's like way over.
Happened? I mean, it's bad. That's like very evil. I'm pulling up the news article right now.
I'm gonna take a quick break though. I want to grab something to show you guys if I can find it. So I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna put in my break timer. So I'll be right back.
We'll be here. But I imagine, Joker, you've gotten some pretty good content so far for you. Or is there anything else we want to touch base on?
Well, I know we keep talking, and we keep bringing up a few times now, going back to whatever he can do, right? Whatever he's good at.
Yeah.
Have you seen his?
Yeah. No. Let's pull it up. Do you have it in Discord?
Yep.
Pulling
We
up
got
in
his
1
whole
second.
thing set up here.
This is so dope. Okay, yeah, let's go through it. So, I actually know some about this. Oh, by the way, this is actually, I don't know if you guys caught this about Pirate early on, maybe that 2002 to 2009. He was creating custom paid avatars for Second Life. Now, I was in business school around this time. Second Life was a big
I'm a
deal. It found a use
furry.
case. Yeah.
I don't know that whole story. Yeah, something about creating furries for avatars. Now that actually is a little bit impressive. If he was
NSFW
making
furry avatars.
maybe not impressive is the word, but like I
You
understand.
got the
he-
naughties.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way he said. There's no way he said snotty. You know. So yeah. So basically, he was doing, which I think is impressive from like an independent business
Right.
perspective, right? Like
I mean, by
Second
all
Life
means,
is a
get your
new
money,
thing.
right?
Exactly. So Second Life is a thing. He created a freelance company. In that sense, I give him credit. Now, to what extent he did stuff, like I'm not sure, but that to me, in one sense, is kind of meaningful. Like to as a young man create furries for the I think that's
Right.
but so he did that. Let's scroll up. Let's see what his next job was there. This is
Next
the
up,
stuff that I
we
think-
enter Blizzard, and he's just doing QA.
Exactly. And now, for those of you who don't know QA, so here's the deal. There is a couple different types of QA. There is a type of QA. So on a software engineering team, you've got the project lead, you've got the devs, and the project lead is the PM, the project manager. You'll have so you have a PM, you have a dev, and you have a QA. This is historical standard for a software engineering team. I imagine at companies with 100 engineers, but anywhere from like 30 to 100, you'll have those three people during sprint planning. So QA could take a couple different forms. One form of QA is no software engineering at all. It's just you doing end-to-end testing, right? So I'll submit. There'll be a task, right, and it'll say, add this API function. I'll code it up. Then QA will just test it on the dev branch. So they'll look at the dev branch. It's basically a copy of the production environment, but it's not production, and they'll test the feature. There's no coding there. And I've been around a lot of QAs who did. Now, there's a separate type of QA, which will be a little bit more coding. Now, all the features they'll be creating, let's take a look at what he says here. Accountable for leading teams on sensitive hot fixes. Not sure what that means. Gained a massive amount of experience with inner work. Okay. Also, okay.
Yeah,
Created
whatever that
defect
is.
report. Yeah. Created defect reports for 700 issues. That sounds like he didn't write code for that. But you can imagine a QA's job from a coding perspective could be something like writing in a script that generates reports. That might be something that falls and maybe fairly basic. But the one I've seen QA in terms of coding do the most is they'll automate testing. So not explicitly creating unit tests, but maybe some integration tests, and that would all be done programmatically. And he does say automation here, but I'm not seeing anything specifically. Let's read the QA automations though. Design and create an automated system for development compatibility. Who knows what that means? Responsible for all maintenance of system delivery. That's probably not coding. How many years was he there? This is the best he could come up with.
3 years and 2 months in this section.
Yeah. Produced quality systems that save thousands of hours. That would be along the lines of something you would put on a LinkedIn profile, right? Like, what was the net effect of your actions? So, but he does. So the net effect is he saved thousands of hours, but doesn't exactly say how he did it. Documented system impact on company-wide level. That's probably looking like that's just a report, right? So again, no coding there.
Just
Save the company and
So
you got it, right?
I'm surprised he hasn't made his LinkedIn profile private because I've seen his LinkedIn on so many videos now. It's like it's back to like what's going on in his head that I'm confused about. Like, why hasn't he tried to mellow out this whole thing? Instead, he you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? But I was able to find the thing. And this is my old punk rock jacket, and it actually says, "This is where's my camera?" It says "hacker" on the back of my punk rock jacket. Oh, you guys can't see it. I can't make it work. I gotta turn it.
It's all green screened.
Yeah. Here, I can fix it. I gotta turn off my background. You're gonna see some some crazy shit behind me. You saw it for a second? Yeah, it where are we at here? Video, virtual background. Okay, so it says hacker. Where's my camera? There we go. On the back of my leather. So you were saying that no one see, I used to be really punk rock. I had like spikes and stuff. No one ever would say that they were a hacker, but I used to. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's a, that was.
Disqualifies them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So that's a great jacket, though. It looks dope.
It
looks real dope.
I'm too old. I'm too old to wear it anymore. It's a sad
Dude,
thing, but
you should totally do it. Next stream.
It's for the girls. Yeah, it kind of worked for the girls. I mean, yeah, it was.
Brought up. I guess
Let's check out.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah, Ash mentioned this. Credit where credit's due.
Credit where credit's due, right? It's something good. Save the animals.
Yeah.
Ferrets smell so bad, dude. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been around a ferret. It's like it's the most. They secrete some like oil. Oh my god, dude, they're so nasty. Can we keep looking at his LinkedIn though? We checked out the QA. So this is a whole lot. So here's what I was saying to you while you were gone, KBD. Look, that the furry stuff he was doing was, I think, actually pretty good.
He was creating furry W avatars for Second Life. That's actually kind of smart to me. I think he had said, I had heard, and he was doing 10K in revenue a month from selling these Second Life avatars, which might not be true, but if that is true, like, good work. The automation, look, and this is totally possible. Ash said earlier, Blizzard janitor. Anybody who's worked at a company on the software, there is totally a possibility that you could do a whole lot of nothing for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's totally possible. So I'm looking at this QA analyst stuff, and I'm not seeing somebody who had a lot of impact. It's totally possible if you're on a larger team that you kind of just get absorbed. Somebody's carrying your load. But what did he really do there? Nothing impactful that I can see in 3 years.
Right.
Is that Blizzard? Yeah.
I mean, that sounds good. It sounds like it's awesome. I mean, those are huge games, dude. Right? Diablo 3. Well, these are. So if you had actually worked and had meaningful tickets, let's say, at any of those games, you would have something to say. Do you want to pull up my stream, my LinkedIn real quick, Joker? It's Michael Sylvester.
Dude,
like here, you can see like.
Can you put anything on your LinkedIn? Don't you link it to the company?
Yeah, but I just want to show you real quick, Joker, if you could put in Michael's. Oh, you don't have your keyboard. But usually what you put is what you actually did. So like you'll see if he pulls up mine, it'll say what I actually did. What are the tickets that I thought were most interesting to the world? Do you know what I mean? Like something I actually did. Yeah. So like if you look at like just the last one, which was Cargomatic or Sidecar, I forget what I have on there. Spearheaded cross-functional integration between legacy and Affordable Care Act systems by implementing a microservice architect. Look, it's very specific. It's like, what did I actually do? What did I actually do? What I did, and this is very standard. You take the tickets that you did and you highlight those tickets. You know what I'm saying? Like as a software engineer, and that's what you like specifically. What is it that you did? You want to see stuff like, oh, I did 10,000. I saved the company 10,000 hours. But the truth is, most of the stuff I did, maybe his situation would be a little bit different if you worked at a big, like a Stark. But most of the stuff I did, it was hard to measure the actual impact. But yeah, you kind of want to like say like, oh, I did this and it had this impact. So most of this. Go ahead.
So one of the things that is it linked to Blizzard? So I can't show mine because it has my real work on there and they would be upset.
Right.
But it's like on mine, like if I search someone that used to work for my company that I work at, that my owners will say, I wish that person didn't say they still work for us. Can you do something about that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's weird that like is Blizzard? I know like his dad works for Blizzard or something, but doesn't it seem like Blizzard would say something like, "Don't say that you used to do stuff" if it was lies? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he doesn't. He doesn't say he did anything. So like, can we pull up his LinkedIn so you can see the difference? I was specific. Like he just says stuff so generally. it's so general. Like the only thing, like the created defect reports, which is obviously not a software engineering task for rough, and nothing wrong with you working on the, when you work, most of your tickets are not that interesting, frankly. Like I always say it like this, like in a 12-month period, I'll in my career, there's basically 2 or 3 projects I work on a year that I want to talk about. A lot of it is just like, fix this bug, or, depending on what you're working on. So it's not that weird that he wouldn't have a lot, but at the same time, like he's not really pointing to like anything particularly meaningful from a software engineering perspective, right? He's the Bob Ross of coding, yet he worked at 3 years, 2 months at Blizzard, worked on StarCraft, World of Warcraft, and all he did was create roughly 700 issue tickets. Do you know what I'm saying?
What's
That's
above?
kind of
Unless we get someone
What's higher than?
that we know then can trust, then to counterclaim. Imagine that comes out. Someone that worked there says, "No, you didn't."
I would, yeah.
What's above that? What's the? Oh yeah.
The platform
Well,
services QA again.
Assistant lead. So he's almost at the lead QA. And again, look at those games he worked on. I'm going to be straight up with you. Like you could see on my LinkedIn, like nobody knows who Sidecar Health is. These are companies that have raised $100 million. But you imagine you worked on StarCraft 2, how awesome that would be.
World of Warcraft. These are huge, like World Mr. Pandaria is one of the legendary. These are awesome projects. Let's see what he did. Mentored and led a team of security professionals. Identified, reported, and posed solution. That's nothing. Perform forensic analysis. That's like probably a legitimate task, but not a whole lot of outcome there. He's the assistant lead. Communicated effectively with large numbers of teams. What does that even mean? What I'm trying to get at is, he was in or around these projects, but he didn't have any impact. All of this stuff, none of it is, particularly meaningful. And while it might be true, your point, KBD, that he did, like nobody at Blizzard has come out and said any of this is false. He probably was in that team, but the point is an honest take on his experience would be, I was just a staff QA.
Yeah, and he's probably good at QA.
Yeah, but when he makes all these audacious claims, like Blizzard Dev, and this is my earlier point where how he kind of blew up. Blizzard Dev thinks this about why, on his YouTube videos. When he says I'm the Bob Ross, when he makes all these audacious claims, and you look at, well, what did you do? That's the disconnect.
Yeah, and I think that once again, like, why hasn't any? And I wonder, this happens a lot with like pretty much all famous people when they do something stupid. I always wonder, like, don't they have a handler or something that tells them not to do stupid shit? And it's the same thing. Like, why doesn't he have friends or?
Do you think he has yes men around him? Like, look, I've never been in that position, so like I can't really say. I do think, like, look, anything we're talking right here, we're having an awesome time, but there's only a handful of people interested in what we have to say. Imagine everything you say, hundreds of thousands, not millions of people are listening. I have no idea what that's like. I can't really relate. So, but I guess in those situations, they just have yes men around them. Nobody's like, like KBD or myself, myself or Joker. Just pull him aside and be like, dude, like you've got something amazing here. Like, let's just right the ship a little bit. Like, not even one person around him. It is a little shocking.
No, it's weird.
Let's scroll up. So that's 4 years. He's worked on the coolest projects like in our lifetime, or some of the cooler games in our lifetime, right? Something I would have loved to work on. And we haven't seen it. He communicated effectively with a large number of teams. That was his main takeaway.
Talk. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not seeing a whole lot. The defect reports, that's like standard stuff maybe that you would do. Defect report doesn't sound that familiar from my experience, but I imagine it's just another set of tests that, part of a QA team, right, type stuff. So associate test engineer, again, best games,
6 months.
some of the better games. Yeah. Oh, it was only 6 months. He mentored and led a team, so he did the same thing. I don't know what he's mentoring him on, but okay. Identified, report, and post solution. Again, so vague. Perform forensic analysis on. So sounds like what he's doing a lot of is just documentation. If you were to read this, like just objectively, you knew nothing about how. You're like, do I want to hire this guy? Do I want to hire this guy? Like, what are you hiring him to do? Is like write defect reports, like that's and mentor people. Like, yeah, he copied it, didn't he? He just copied it. Yeah, I just
everything's copy paste except for this last line.
Create a new team and led it to victory. What
does that
victory?
mean? What team? What did you do? What victory?
Yeah, it's
wow.
What's up higher than that? Because I'm curious. It
Yeah,
feels
let's keep
like
up.
there
Here we
should
go
be
to
a.
associate application security engineer. A lot of big words.
Yeah, manage web applications.
So
What
websites.
Right, web app, yeah. So that would be something maybe like how the permissions for like incoming requests. Maybe you would have something there, I guess. I mean, it's so vague that it doesn't mean anything. In a leadership role on a newly formed team. Yeah, okay.
But what did you
know,
do?
yeah, exactly. And this does happen at companies, right? Look, I don't have a lot of experience at large companies. My first job was at Accenture, and then my second job was at Price. But this is like quite. But it's really reading this. It's like he didn't do a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Like you imagine, we're now 6 years into his career at Blizzard, and he's pretty much good at leading teams. It's not clear. Communicating with other teams. Defect reports seems like the only tangible skill I've seen here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not
Yeah.
obvious. Like.
Looking at this makes me makes me feel like I need to update my LinkedIn with more bullshit.
It's like, why even like try to like describe like what you actually did to get something done when you just put a bunch of bullshit and all
Just be vague. It'll sound good.
Right? Like,
for a short while at my day job, just out of the blue one day, the owner said like, "Can you keep track of everything you do?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, just write down everything you do, and then at the end of the week, like turn it into me." And so I started doing that, and I would just write like, solve the ticket or whatever. But then at the end of the week, I would make it sound like this. I would literally be like, infiltrated and exploited physical access controls, and that would be like, I got a new key made, And it's funny that like reading this is totally exactly how I'd write it. And then he would come to me at on the next Monday, and he'd be like, "Wow, you really did a lot of stuff," and I'd be like, "Yeah." Yeah.
It's up to you. Make it sound as amazing as you can.
I got a couple comments from Ash. She said, "First job, worked with client." In my resume, when I was really sent one mail. Oh, so Ash is saying like this does happen, like when you're working with business you make it sound a lot better than it is, and I'm not even sure that he's doing a lot of that here. And then Ash says, "Was it using ChatGPT before it was known?" Maybe. I mean, it's so vague. Like, really on your LinkedIn, and again, one thing I'll give him a pass on is he's already a brand, so he doesn't have to say a whole lot. On my LinkedIn, I'm trying to sell myself. So that's why I'm going. But if you were to just to like, research, how do I do a good LinkedIn or resume? You wouldn't find that this is the suggestions you get, to just be so vague that it's meaningless, right? And I think particularly like when talking about Pirate, it's trying to figure out like how did he actually get to where he's at. His LinkedIn does nothing to solve that problem, except for the fact that he's worked on big brands. You know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like when I was a kid, KBD will remember this. Final Fantasy VII was launched in like 97. And for Final Fantasy VII, it looked incredible. The screenshots, but none of that was the gameplay. They didn't show any of the gameplay for the game. It was all the full, the video, the
pre-rendered cinematics and all that.
The pre-rendered. Nowadays, you have to say this is not actual gameplay on game trailers. You guys notice that? Maybe the last part, it'll say this is not the actual game. But when we were kids, they didn't have. You know what I mean? Now, but back then you didn't have to do it. So when I saw Final Fantasy VII, I was like, this looks like the most amazing thing. But when you play the game, it looks ridiculous, right? When you see Cloud, he looks like a Lego figure. Even back then, it looked ridiculous. So it's kind of like, when I think about Pirate, I think of him like Final Fantasy VII in 1997. It looks so stunning. You see 2 million subscribers. You hear that he worked at Blizzard, worked at StarCraft, But if you just look a little bit under the skin, he copies his
Lego.
Yeah, he's a Lego. Exactly. Like, and I don't know if you saw this, KBD, but the code that he wrote was comically amateur.
I watched it, and I actually, at the beginning of my stream, I was talking about just how the fact that I actually learned some stuff by watching the code review, because I didn't know that there was the magic numbers is what I kept bringing up. I didn't know that was a bad thing. Someone mentioned it in chat a long time ago. They said, "That's a magic number or something." And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'll look it up later. And then I learned about magic numbers because he used them all the time, and they're bad.
Oh yeah, look at all those magic. Look at all that.
Yeah, and it's like,
so what are these? What are those?
So
And that's
of,
the
Do you
thing,
remember
KBD.
what array number 213 is?
so one of the things with
That's
that I was telling Joker, sorry, is that a lot of the stuff I figured out on my own, not because I'm brilliant or anything. It's just because it was like I would use magic numbers and I'd be like, what the fuck is this later? And it wouldn't make any sense
Right,
to
you
me. And
just
I'm
went
like,
from
there's got to be a
experience.
better way to do this. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and it surprises me that if he's been developing for so long, that hasn't happened to him where he would say, this is wrong. There's got to be a better way to do this. Unless it's back to what Ash was saying. He's just too arrogant and he's like, no, this is the best way. Which is crazy, though.
Here's the
That's
thing
the
here.
that's the thing, KBD. That's the thing. Like when you look at his code, and I was actually watching the coding with Jesus coding guy, that guy who
Yeah,
did the
that's the
first
one I
code review.
watched. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was watching his video, but I was pausing in between, and he like the thing is when you look at some of his code, it's so obviously amateur that like I would say something and then we hit play and Coding Jesus would say the same thing. Like what I'm trying to get at is there's like a meta, right? At software engineering, there's like a meta for code review, right? Like when you're doing a code review as an engineer, you know what to look for, and he fails on every one of those tests, right? Like the magic numbers you brought up, but the one that I thought was most egregious was when he populated an empty array, an array of size 7 with all zeros, and he wrote out index 1 equals 0, index 2 equals 0.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
it was so egregious. You would never, and it's not even. And here's like the main point. It's not something that you would ever do professionally, but it's not something I would ever do I would never solve it like that because it's very amateur, right? It's something you do when you're very early in your career, in your experience software engineering, that's just very amateur. That's like the best way to describe it.
Well, you know,
It's like
funny.
you're just learning about arrays and how to set them, and you're practicing.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
it's
and
funny.
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it, right? We all did it. I'm just saying, like that's the level it's at. No professional engineer would write code like that.
Well, the thing that's funny about that too is I remember vividly copying and pasting in something and then changing the numbers, and
Same.
someone in chat immediately saying, "Why don't you make that a for loop?" Like 10
Yeah,
seconds
there you
of me doing that, and I said,
Well,
"Oh,
you got
you're
a
right."
point.
You know, like so. Why doesn't anyone mention that to him? Like it was that quick. Like literally 10 seconds
It's
of
so
me
funny.
copying and pasting.
Yeah, because that's the meta, right? Like that's the meta. You learn this early on as you write more code, as you're contributing to repo. There's like a certain way that's best practice. Another example of this is when you call a function, right? You could have you could have an if else statement, right? But if you can just do it in one, like if you could just do it in one if, you don't have to do the else. So if this,
Yeah.
then you just return. You don't actually write the else. There's like stuff like that you pick up as you're coding, and that these are just like it's egregious. Like that's the point I want to make. It's egregiously amateur to not do it that way. You know what I'm saying? And then to have the audacity to sit back and like, if I was in his situation, let me put it this way: if I was in his situation, I'd say like, dude, I've done really well for myself considering I'm quite amateur. You know what I mean? Like I'd be like really proud, like I would have no shame in like telling the world like, dude, I've done really well. You could do it with this limited experience. Instead, he purports to be an expert, or at least is comfortable with people purporting him to be an expert when he's not. And that's like the part that I find so crazy. And yeah, maybe he has nobody around him saying it. Maybe he's so delusional. I have no idea what's going through his head. But that's why I was so happy to do this call and encourage Joker to do a video, because it's just so interesting. Like everything about it is interesting.
Dinklewinks in my chat pointed out his website is also really basic. I sent a link to you guys. I pulled it up for a minute, and then I was like, wait, you guys probably want to see this too.
Yeah,
it is very
out.
basic.
What do we got? What do we got here for his Blizzard Entertainment?
Above it?
Well, the senior red team specialist.
Oh,
I think we
right.
checked this out yet.
Infiltrated exploited physical access controls.
So is this where he was a hacker? Is this his hacker portion of the resume?
I would assume so.
So now I know what this
Yeah.
is. So now I know what this is. This is I didn't know. Yes, exactly. Yeah, coding what's it? Coding with Jesus. He talked about this, and I know what this is. You guys know those phishing scams where they send you an email and they want you to click on it so you enter your credentials. That's what he did. And by the way, that's a valuable skill. But hacker, like when he says hacker, what he's trying to get, the image and I'm not the first to say this, but the image he's trying to give you in his head is that you're like SSHing into the EC2 server, right? Like you're SSHing in, you're sending requests that like override and make their make their servers accessible, right? Or you're running foreign code, like you're overriding, but that's not, of course, what he was doing, right? Like when he's saying he was a hacker, what he's saying is he was doing stuff like that would otherwise be called social engineering. So exactly, which is valuable, but it's not what again, he's very comfortable with people thinking that he like found an exploit in Xbox, for example, that allows you to run unsigned code. Like, you know what I mean? That's the image he's comfortable with you thinking. Like, but again, it's such a disconnect between reality.
So once again, I can copy that and put that in my LinkedIn. I need to update and put that on there because I actually do that. It's part of my job is to send out those phishing emails, and I can write custom ones. I just use the generic ones, but I could write custom ones, so I could add that to my LinkedIn.
Well, you go ahead and put on the managed social engineering operations to improve employee awareness and resilience.
Yeah.
So that's such a revealing example. Like, but would you call yourself? Well, of course you. I guess the answer is yes because you have the jack. But would you call yourself a hacker, or would you be comfortable with people thinking that you could hack into the FBI? Like, would you be comfortable? Like with that's what I'm trying to get at. Is like he's very comfortable. I've heard him say egregious stuff, but he's very comfortable with people thinking he's an expert. I wouldn't feel comfortable. I wouldn't feel comfortable saying, if people thought I was the best, let's say, engineer, software engineer in the world, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that label. I wouldn't like lean into it because, that's what I also think is interesting with the hacker piece, where it turns out he constantly mentions that his time is, what did he say with I'm not saying it here, but didn't he work with the government to hack a nuclear facility, or at least he said it, or people?
Right, yeah, that'll be up here, presumably. Right after Amazon, where Amazon, we finally get a language mentioned here, Python.
Oh, here we go. Building automation frameworks in Python. So that's what I was saying earlier. Like that is something you could see from a software engineering perspective. You could see him writing a testing script. That is something that QA does. So maybe he did do some Python code 8 years into his career. But he says building an automation framework as if he built like what? What is that? What is like? That's a pretty big claim. Like if he did do it, there should be a GitHub for it. Like a testing framework would be like Playwright, right? Playwright is a Python testing framework. Like that's what he's saying there. And if that's true, that's a big deal. But I doubt that's what he actually did. I imagine at best he wrote a function or a
based
script.
On the other
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Look, by the way, if you
documentation.
If you created a Python framework like Playwright that Amazon runs, right? Like this is a big deal. Like you would want people to know about it. Yeah. Like if I wrote Playwright, I would let you guys know this as often as I let you know I wrote a chatbot for Coachella. You know what I'm saying? Like I would let people know.
Single Wings, you could be right that this is what they all want, and yeah, it is. It's the thing. It's so weird, and like I was saying earlier, that I used to really like to watch the people who did videos of
naughty people.
What's that?
He likes to watch naughty people.
Well, no, that is Single Wings. The pseudoed your brains out. That is definitely a naughty chat. Earlier I said snotty. They thought I said naughty. But no, it is weird. Like I used to like to watch the scam videos of people taking down like scam video games. But it's weird that it is. And maybe he is just living rent free in our heads, and this is all part of the plan. Is that? But so if we hadn't looked at those numbers, I would be more into agreeing. But it's so weird to me that this is. And is it so? This is another complaint that I have with like YouTube is how they recommend videos, and like Reddit as well. So I don't log into Reddit when I look at it because I want to get just like the most popular stuff, and just because I'm not looking, I don't give a shit that much, and so I just look through and it's like cat pictures and stuff. But lately, it's always been live stream fails with pirate software, and so like, there's got to be some like, why suddenly is the world just pushing that? And there's got to be a way that they need to improve, like YouTube especially their algorithm for suggesting
KBD, I think
stuff.
you know the answer. KBD, I think you know the answer to this question. I mean, people like to gossip, right? People like to watch a train wreck. People like a train wreck. I don't actually find it that odd that YouTube's people do want to consume this content. I
His
think
name is a
why
big keyword
is
now.
yeah. I think why Pirate Software just as a I think he did a couple things happened. One, I think other influencers don't like him. I don't know this to be a fact. I have absolutely no insider, but it seems like why Moist Critical, why these guys cover him or Asman is because I don't think they like him on a personal basis. And so the fact that they're talking about him amplifies it. The other thing that I think with Pirate that I think happened was um, the Blizzard piece, and Joker
Yeah.
talked about that was a good branding. It was really good branding. The fact, and when you look at his resume and you think, I worked 7 years at Blizzard, another year at Amazon. Like on the surface, like I am going to at least listen to what you have to say. When you pull it back, that's why I think the story becomes even interesting from somebody like myself. Is it's kind of just all there's no there, but that's how I think he kind of got to this point. The last thing I want to say on what as it relates to him, and we've talked about this a couple times. I've never met, I can't venture to guess this ambiguous narcissistic personality, but I don't know what's going on in his head. Like it seems to me, and this is just a raw take, I think he thinks he's the shit. Whether I think he thinks he's the most important person in the world, and that he's always right, and that's why we see that in real time. In that he can't learn from anybody or something like that, because there's no real reason for why he can't, for example, take ownership of any of like his history. You know what I mean? The only thing I can think of is like, you guys aren't as smart as me. I'm smarter, and so what I say is what matters. And even if people are talking to him, right? Like he just can't hear it.
Yeah.
I think that's also, like, you mentioned something earlier, and I was like, wait, this is part of it, and I already forgot what you said. Except that I thought of my response. I remembered my response is that I think also we really want to see someone arrogant get taken down.
Yeah,
Even if it's not
yeah,
justified, though. That's the thing, is I kind of like, that's why I keep saying I feel sorry for him. Is yeah, he's kind of a dickhead, but like getting swatted and. You know what I mean? If he and like Stingling said, it's all over. This all started over a failed WoW raid. Like it just seems so. Yeah, it is, and it's just like maybe we should let the poor guy do his thing as long as he would just stop being such an arrogant asshole.
Here's another problem that's like 4D chess, like another layer is that there's a power vacuum if Pirate goes away, right? So if Pirate's influence lessens, let's say in software engineering, someone else can, like, how many videos have been created about Pirate? So the point is that like people can elevate based on him going down. So that's like additional incentive for people to talk about. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of moving parts, but I think fundamentally why I'm interested in the situation, there's been so many different things we've talked about, but I think there was just never any there. And that's the fact that he got so far with not really having any core skill set, right, or expertise. I think that in itself is why I've been interested in this from the start. And it just goes back to that first comment I had with Joker like 9 months ago. I'm like, well, what has he built? What has he done? And that's why I've been so interested in the story.
So let's like back to that. Like, what do you think? Like, was it luck, or was it like maybe he's good at whatever marketing or something? Was it luck though? Like some of these people, some of the bigger streamers and influencers, it's luck. So I have a friend who, God, what did she do? She posts on TikTok, and she does like makeup videos on TikTok, and she gets like. So it's easier to get views on TikTok, I guess, because I don't do TikTok. But she gets like 5,000 views each video or whatever. But one, she got like 2 million views.
Wow.
Yeah, and so when it was happening, she was texting me like, "Holy shit!" Because she knows that I stream and stuff, and like none of her other friends do. So that she doesn't have anyone to talk to about that type of stuff. So she's like, "Oh my God, I'm at 100,000 views. Oh my God, I'm at 200,000. What the fuck is going on?" And it was just like to her a standard like video, but the thing like she tried to replicate it and she couldn't get it to happen again. And so like she got like a bunch of followers, but not like she needed to like hit like 1 million like every week for a month or whatever to continue getting the growth or whatever. It didn't work out, but that was just luck for her. What is causing like?
I love this question because this is a great question, and the answer is nobody knows for sure. At least
and
I talk, we don't know.
But I think there's a couple of things that happened. One thing that happened, because some of this is inertia. Like once you already have followers, all you got to do is get Prime on your channel. Now you've got his audience plus yours, or Asmongold. You know what I mean? Like once you get to a certain point, like it's kind of inertia. But how did I think? And this is what I think is, I've spent some time thinking about this. What happened with Pirate is the Blizzard branding. He was, very adamant about streaming, and he was branding himself, legitimately, truthfully, having had worked at Blizzard, though he was disingenuous about what he actually did there, which we've looked at. But I think that's what elevated him up. Prime did the same thing with Netflix, right? It was like Netflix dev, Prime was legitimately a software engineer. But the point is I think for Pirate, he was early, right? Like 2017, 2018. He had the Blizzard branding, which I had actually never really heard much from a Blizzard dev, to be honest, before a certain point here on YouTube. But he was adamant. He was streaming a lot, creating a lot of content. He did so, I would say, sometimes in a novel way. I know he was early on shorts, so I think his marketing was good. His media creation was good. He touched topics, intelligently. So he had some intelligence and expertise in marketing, and then he also had the branding from Blizzard. If I were to guess, and the number of hours he put into creating content. So I think those were the reasons why he kind of blew up.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I watched him one time and he was describing why like basically an authentication server would go down. Like why sometimes the game works, but you can't log into the game, basically. If you're already logged in, it works fine. And he like busted out his little whiteboard and he was drawing arrows and stuff. I guess that's his thing.
Yeah.
But he actually wasn't like 100% right on what he was saying, which I just assumed he was making it dumber so that their chat could, But the thing was that the authority actually reminds me of ChatGPT. Now I was just thinking, like this popped in my head, like how ChatGPT says this they're authoritarian. Not authoritarian. That's,
naughty.
They sound, and they're a naughty authoritarian. Like where they sound like they're an authority. ChatGPT does, so you're like,
yes, and they're hallucinating. Yeah.
Authoritative. Yes, there we go. Authoritative. Thank you. They're like, and so well, chat helped me, of course, get to that word.
Memory.
So he had a similar way of talking, and so if you didn't know, it would. So like, and maybe that also helps though.
What you're saying is 100% fact, KB. Like what you're describing right now is he's very comfortable talking authoritatively about subjects that he doesn't know anything about, and most normal people aren't comfortable doing that.
And so I think
KBD, you did that social engineering, but you would never call yourself a hacker. Like he's very comfortable. He's very comfortable. Right, purporting to be an expert on stuff that he doesn't know, and yes, that helped him for sure. That helped him.
Yeah, and so I think that also, like, though, if you watch a stream, like, so at the time when I watched him, I didn't have any negative feelings about him for this particular thing. So I was just like, oh yeah, he's showing people how this works, and it makes sense. And so then you feel like you're getting to see under the cover of video games too. So I think that's something that a lot of people.
That's true.
Like to see, like they don't understand that there's two servers that or whatever. So I don't know.
A little bit of experience in game development, let's say, goes a long way to the general public if they see it. So even though to us or somebody who's more seasoned, it's not that meaningful. The fact that he was reaching an audience, let's say normal or normies or non-technical people. It sounded a lot more, let's say, expert than maybe it is because of the audience.
So
and they like that. They like to know.
They do, and also like if you come off like you suddenly are the authority. So then people come back, and this is gonna be a strange way to connect this. But years and years ago, I went and saw Return of the King, the Lord of the Rings thing with my family on like Thanksgiving or something, and I hadn't seen it, and my family hadn't seen it or any of that. So we went and saw it, and when the movie is over, my whole family turned to me because they knew I'd read the books, and they asked me all these questions about Lord of the Rings. They're like, "Did those guys die and go to heaven?" And, like all these questions. And so, I was the authority. And so after that, they always would ask me Lord of the Rings questions. So it's the same thing. Like people coming back, okay, well, Thor or Jason, whatever, is the Thor authoritative? Sorry, I'm laughing
He's
because
the
of it.
most
I just
expert
comment.
in this situation.
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
exactly. And so if you want to find out about games, let's say you have a question in your mind, like, how does this work with games? I'm just
Yeah.
going to jump onto his Twitch
Yeah.
and because he's always
Yeah.
streaming. Dude does put crazy hours in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Can we say one thing nice about him? That website, is that the same website you guys mentioned? The one where he talks about building a game from scratch for indie gamers? Is that the same one? I want to say actually the content on that, there's a website he did. I don't know, Captain pointed me in that to that direction. And he talked about like what do you need to do to create an independent game? I just want to say like actually the content on that was pretty good. So here's an example. You need art, you don't have any money. He would give examples of how you could get art. You need sound, you don't have any money. Here's how you is this the one?
No,
really
that's his. That's his.
That's just like a GitHub. That's just like a GitHub page, right? Like that's just like a GitHub page, like the static asset one with a link to his Twitch. That's all that is. Like just very. You know what I mean? Like just a static site that he put some shit on and that's what I would guess that is.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about because I actually looked at it once and it was. You're right. It was pretty good. It gave you
cool.
like.
In fact, that was a good, that guy Captain and Usty, we went through it one time on stream, and like in Pirate's defense, I've seen nothing from him out of his mouth. I've heard nothing that replicates that type of sophistication. But that website, wherever that was, maybe he wasn't the main driver of it. I would say that was a pretty good resource, like in terms of like how it was communicating to the end user, like this is what you can do to create a game from scratch. It was out to give him credit where credit's due. It was pretty sophisticated,
No, it was.
And I'm happy you had seen it too.
And I looked at it. I think it was somebody in chat. Actually, I looked at it on the stream too, and I think we were looking at like the exact thing because I'm creating an indie game, and it's like what kind of using it. And I just looked at my notes. I was hoping I'd copied and pasted it somewhere, but I didn't. So.
And it may be out of date now. It was one of the, but at the time when I looked at it, I was like, now knowing what I know at this moment about Pirate, I wouldn't put it past him to have completely, gained a lot of the resources for that from somebody else.
Like that's where I'm at with him. Like in terms of like taking
take someone else's list.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of what he says, just because of his comfort in purporting to know about Stop Killing Games or about cybersecurity, his comfortability with fictitiously representing his expertise. I'd be in no way shocked to find out that resource was a collection of stuff that he gained from people. But to give credit where credit's due, as it stands right now, that was a pretty good. I mean, it was pretty robust and sophisticated in terms of how it, guided you towards creating a game. Do you want to take a look at the last couple of pieces here on the LinkedIn? The Eagle Research Group penetration testing.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna call it a day. But I'm gonna see if I can find that list. Indie.
So that sounds legit. Like, penetration testing sounds like something we do. Yeah. Just custom tools is vague. Working with sensitive
could just be outputting.
Yeah, it could just be like Joker. Remember when you created that tool to like change the text? It was like a formatting something like that. It took like 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like, it could just be something like so basic, but okay. And then the last couple are what? Let's go see at the top, Joker, if you don't mind.
Director of strategy with off-brand. That's
is that the Ludwig? Is that the Ludwig company? Yeah. So I guess they let him go. This is what I heard. I heard he was let go. That was a waste.
Managing global monetization prices for games.
Yeah.
So you pick prices.
That's so I bet for him. Like, this is actually an interesting point. I bet for him, he got this job based on his fictitious expertise of software engineering delivery. Because I bet the director of strategy is no small title, right? And off-brand probably has some money, right? So I bet that they were hiring him thinking he was some expert in any like anything related to distributing and building a game. Because managing global monetization prices for games and MX and currency within game, that's probably a pretty big task. Like managing, like I can't say for certain, but you can imagine like how you set the prices, why you set them. These are kind of like big deals.
I don't know. Prices in games all seem pretty standard across. It seems like
is it? What about the
They always have the same rates. You
transaction?
always got the $4.99, the $9.99, the $14.99.
What about the transaction? Okay, so he could have just copied. But what about the transactions? Actually executing the transactions, like how or how you provision the resources to hold the currency right in game, like the user accounts. I mean, it's a little bit more sophisticated. I'm gonna be honest, depending on how people are using the game. But I understand what you're saying. If you're just setting the price, if you're just setting the prices, like you could just copy somebody else's pricing strategy. Right. But I would guess. I mean, I understand he was let go, but I wouldn't have been surprised that he got a title where he could have some influence and authority, like coming up with strategy. When it turns out it wasn't particularly meaningful.
Was that the one though that he was this? I can't even remember if this was him, where he was hired just as kind of like he was supposed to do the marketing part.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, and then I thought there was some fallout. It was
contracts, good faith collaboration, public events, social outreach.
I think.
Well, he was let go, I believe.
Yeah, I thought this was like the whole thing imploded though. It wasn't just him. I thought there was the whole thing just fell apart.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think there was something more. I think this is what do we know what the name of the company was? Because there was like some streamer company thing. I think this is the thing we were talking about.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, this was a pretty robust set of data. Maybe he did do all of it. This is the thing, KBD. It was pretty good. Like I would say it was pretty good.
That didn't take long.
Yeah, I would say the information here was not bad.
What was that about? DEF CON?
DEF CON. So I heard he was like, I've heard him say this a bunch of times. There was some kind of conference for like hackers, and his team won it. Is that the DEF CON one?
Yeah, it's
some kind of part of a team.
I don't believe any of that for a second. Maybe they did win an award, but I can't believe for a second it was because of his. We didn't talk about this one. There was a video floating around about him. After the WoW stuff, somebody had mined through his. This is so ridiculous. Mined through his streams, and they had caught him cheating at a game, right? So it was a game that required like critical thinking. It was a story-based game, and you had to look at the surroundings to be able to determine what to do next. And he was looking on his phone, right, but purporting to be solving the problems in real time, right? So it would be like something like this. I can't figure out how to get through this door. You know what I'm going to do? And this is like real life recreation. What it's telling me to do is fly back to the other solar system and hit this window so I can get access to this. That's what it means. And so he would be like all animated, like he had really, had a eureka moment, only to just have looked at his phone to find it. It was one of the most cringe things I've seen in real, like, you know what I mean, in recent memory.
So what's funny about that when they were talking about all that, the cheating with him, is that all these other game streamers were found out to be cheating too, which made me kind of laugh that there was all. And what we're talking about is puzzle games. We're not talking about like first-person shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are like puzzle games and so all these other, like it was like 3 or 4 other streamers who would also do the same tactic where they'd be like, oh man, I got to go to the bathroom real bad, and then they would leave and come back and be like, I solved the puzzle, and in reality they were going and looking with their phone. And so that's another thing that I guess I don't quite understand, is where streamers who are, like really good at a specific game. I'm going to use Tarkov as an example. People who are really, really good at Tarkov, they're like, everyone watches them. To me, that's not like something I want to watch. I rather watch the person who's interesting more than just really good at the game. So then there are, like, this is back to like people getting famous. There's people who have cheated at games, including Tarkov, obviously Tarkov, so that they can get more viewers. And so that's like, that's like a thing that, back to like how people improve their chances of becoming influencers, is they cheat at the games, which I think is so crazy to me. Like I don't know.
I thought the same thing when I thought about, like, when we were just talking about this cheating. I was immediately reminded of what you were saying earlier about these like cheat codes people have to increase their influence. I was immediately thought about that, and you know what?
it kind of reminds me when I was an undergrad, I was an engineering student, and engineering school was really hard, right? Like the first 2 years of like they have weed out classes. And I remember spending my weekend studying and working on projects. And I come to find out that I was doing it all independently. But I come to find out that everybody who was succeeding at the same level I was working with each other. So like I would spend all weekend working on this problem set, and they would spend just a couple hours because they would want somebody would work on one problem, somebody else would work on another, and they would combine their effort. I remember thinking like, damn, I'm a sucker. And so in a sense, like what like it's almost like you can't succeed, right? Like if you don't do it don't use these like cheat code ways. I don't know how true that is, but sometimes I do get that feeling. Like so the streamers succeeded because they cheated in game. Like maybe that is the only way forward. Like realistically, the only one of the only ways forward, or at least the most effective way. But what I found cringy about Pirate was how he was purporting to have solved it. It was just so cringe to watch. Oh, you know what? What I need to do, and that's like he was like so like pretending aloud that he had figured out. It was just so ridiculous,
Man, when I was streaming a lot on my other channel, when I ran into puzzles, I just looked like a fool on the internet.
I'm very comfortable on my stream, like not knowing stuff. Like I'm very comfortable with that. My stream is not like by any like not even like 20 average viewers. So maybe you do have to like pretend bullshit. Maybe that is the ticket. But from my perspective, I'm very comfortable learning. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm very comfortable not being faking that I've figured something out when I just looked it up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that to me is just so absurd.
No, I actually when I used to play RPGs and stream them, I would just say like, look, if this takes me more than 3 minutes to try to figure out this puzzle, I'm just going to look it up with you guys right now.
That's a hard limit.
Yeah, I can't be spending all day trying to figure out a puzzle, even though it was like the most basic shit and it was embarrassing. But yeah.
So shit, man. Well, we fucked. Yeah. Is there any closing thoughts? I think we went over every. And I'm happy we did because how often do you get to talk about shit like this in real life? I've thought about Pirate a lot just because I stream the software engineering category as do all of you guys here have, and so it's like one of those things where like I'm aware of him and just it's just such a perplexing situation that I was just grateful to have a chance to talk about it. So that's kind of my 2 cents. My 2 cents is he's a fraud, like just straight up, I full stop. Like he's a fraud. I think he could get his way out of his situation really easily if he had somebody around him, a big homie, just being like, dude, just be honest. You already have the following. You did the hard part. You can right the ship. I have no idea if that's going to happen, but the code review was I doubt it too. The code review was a big indictment on him. And that's why he doesn't make his code public. It's because, it's probably just all so amateur. So that's kind of my take on it. That's kind of like my two cents on it.
So the thing that I really liked about the code review is that I learned something and I wasn't expecting. I was just like, I'm gonna watch some dumb video, and then I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, maybe I should watch more like stuff like that where it's not really about a specific problem or whatever. It's just like somebody code reviewing something, and then I could be like, whatever, learn overwhelming or the things that once again, words. I have problems with them. The architecture for programming. Yeah, right. But I think my closing thoughts is I still feel sad for him, because I feel like he's kind. Have you ever met the person who's just kind of misunderstood? They're not really trying to be a dick, and he's trying to apologize, but he just doesn't know how.
I don't think that's him at all. Well, I'm happy you say that because I don't think of that him. I think he's just completely delusional and knowingly a fraud. Like I think he knows deep down inside, but I don't know. Go ahead though. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No. So
I'm surprised.
If he knowingly I don't know, I guess I pity him. Which is bad. No, because maybe he thinks he's a hacker. I don't know. Is that DEF CON thing real? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing,
all the stories we've heard, just stories. I've never seen proof of any of it. I don't know.
That's true.
Exactly. I mean, the closest thing we have to evidence that he has a level of competency in anything is that documentation, the website. That's the closest. That's where he there's some evidence that some thought, let's say, in expertise was crafted, but his GitHub is empty. His code, he doesn't release it, but the code that we see is just amateur by any measure, amateur. The DEF CON stuff is just what you guys said, a story. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, like, if you were to look at my career, like at GitHub, you would just see stuff. You would see and you could make a call whether or not you think it's good or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty with his situation. With his situation, he's very careful. He's very guarded about it, which is a little bit suspect. And then when you do see stuff, it's so bad that leads me to believe he knows, that he's not the Bob Ross or Bob Ross of coding. He's instead got this, and that's why I think, to be honest with you, that's why I always think these aren't the droids you're looking for. He's always waving off everybody, because I think he knows. If you look or writing his LinkedIn so vague, I think he knows he doesn't have a lot of there. But I wanted to say one last thing on this topic, because somebody did a YouTube video where he says he's a guy who had been basically he had taken a wrong move. He got canceled on the internet. He had 100,000 viewers, something like that, and he got canceled for saying something. And he was talking about what it was like to be in that situation. Basically, he was saying what it was like to be in pirate situation. And he says it's such an abysmal. So taking pity on pirate, I don't know what it's like to have the whole internet hate me, or a good portion of it. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak to what that feels like, but in my head, I think that it's probably it deserves some pity. I mean, it's not good to gang up on people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and my main takeaway from all of these videos too, and I mentioned this already, is that he literally could just apologize 3 times and then it would all go away probably. And if it didn't go away, the people who would be attacking him still would probably people would lose sympathy for them. You know what I mean? Because you have to kind of the Coding Jesus guy seemed nice. You know what I mean? He didn't seem like he was trying to be a total assole, but Coding Jesus would probably, have been I'm not going to do a video on him. Yeah, I'm not going to do a video. He's going to.
He wasn't being abusive or harassment. He was just creating content. And the other thing too that I wanted to say is I wanted Joker to do this video because I'm happy KBD mentioned. I'm curious to see all right, the algorithm's loving pirate software. If Joker, who has a non-zero audience, a couple thousand subs, if he creates a video, what kind of numbers could result? You know what I'm saying? That's one of the. I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see what could happen. You know what I mean? Well, if there's a YouTube video, you know what I mean? I'm very curious to see what could be the result.
Who knows? I remember when I got a shout out from one video that was just pointing out different channels and some content, because I think they were new to Godot at the time, but they just pointed me out in one of the things, and then I got 100 subs in that week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Quick point out.
There was on my other channel, if you look for a game category and on YouTube, it shows videos about that game category. But you don't always get in that category, and I don't know how you get in or you get out of it. It just happens. You select the game when you stream a video game. You put that as the category. Mm-hmm. But there's for some reason mine was put in there as the top one because it was some unknown game, and that one I got I think that's my most viewed video just because I got in the right category. I still am baffled by how it works, because the one vote shouldn't matter.
Me too. Me too.
But yeah, it's very strange. But yeah, it was a good talk.
All right. Yeah, good shit, dude. That was so fun. We'll do something else sometime, too. That was fun.
Yeah, we should have we should put a topic on once a month or something.
Yeah. Yeah. 2 hours. 2 hours is a good. 2 hours. 2 hours is a good amount of time. It's not too much. Do a quick chat about something that's popping, see how that helps, or doesn't help, just give it a go. It's fun either way,
Yeah, definitely. We talk about AI all the time because that's all that anyone wants to talk about now.
It has been like that. It has been like that for a while. I mean, look, dude. Here's the thing. On that note, like, all my channels pretty much AI engineering at this point, and it's riding a wave. Like,
Yeah.
it's riding a wave. If you're in and around, if you're a software engineer and in or around AI engineering, like, your life is gonna be better. You're gonna have more opportunities. You're gonna work on cooler projects. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was just doing what I did 5 years ago, it wouldn't be very fulfilling from a professional standpoint. All the energy, all the money's in AI right now for software engineering. So that's kind of why I stick to those topics. Not because I love AI.
I thought you were just the expert. That's what I'm always like. Yeah, he's the expert.
Not an expert by any means, just a contributor.
Stinkawinks, we're gonna do 2 hours of paid promotions. No paid. I would not do a paid promotion. Oh my god, that would be so awful.
And today's podcast is sponsored by you, the viewer.
Right. I watch Angry Joe still, his YouTube videos sometimes, and he does a paid promotion at the beginning of every one, and it makes me so sad. He's got to be. He's another person who's like 2 million YouTube followers. He's got to be making money. He doesn't mean paid promotions. God. Anyways,
I didn't get a chance to show you guys. I was at a YouTube meetup last night with AVGN and Nostalgia Critic in Chicago. I'll have to tell you about that story some other time. If you like old school YouTubers, I'll tell you about that story some other time. But yeah, I went to a YouTube meetup last night.
Wow. Yeah. We should do this again.
Yep. Later, homies.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Yeah. Good talking to you. All right. I think I hung up. Now I'm hung up. There we go. So Stinkawinks, you guys, I'm gonna call it a day here. But you guys were talking about CDN the third. Or is that were you being? I couldn't tell if this was he's entertaining, good, and a true gamer. I couldn't tell if that was sarcasm. I was like, because I pulled it up on my other monitor, and I was like, looking, and I was like, wait, is this sarcasm? And not because I pulled him up, but because I'm gonna go down. No sarcasm. All right, I'm gonna look at him later. I think, yeah, a true gamer. What in the world happened where you had to be like a true gamer for stuff? I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. All right. I'm not going to rate anybody. I think I'm just going to call it a day. I already pushed my code because I'm over my time here, and that was unusual for my stream, but we'll plan something with those guys like once a month, like I was saying. Not during my normal time though, but some other time. Yeah, paid promotions. God, it's blowing my mind that like every fucking channel has paid promotions at the beginning. Even, am I subscribed? Even these guys, they're like liberal news. I'm gonna call them. They have paid promotions like in the middle, and it's just like, man, when did this happen? And when did we accept that shit? When did we say that was fine? God. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. I will talk to you tomorrow. We'll actually get some work done. I did nothing today, I guess. There was a number of changes that I pushed, like 12 files have been changed, because I just went and changed one word, but we'll make some progress in here. I will talk to you